Hey guys, what's up? This is Ed from vinylalbumcovers.com. With me as always is Dre. I'm sure you're wondering what on earth happened to us. The only answer I've got for you is life.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of life. But we're back now, ready to go with a brand spanking new topic that we came up with a few hours ago. Um, Tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about covers that are better than the originals. So that'll give us some fertile material. Here we go with the beginning of parts 1 through 5. I'm kidding. It's probably not going to go that far, but well, you know us, don't you?
They get the gist.
Yeah, they get it. If you've been watching thus far, yeah, you're in for something. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started then. And Dre, hit us with the first one. What you got?
Okay, the first one is going to be "Who Can I Run To" by Escape, which was actually done by the Jones Girls. I want to say about 16 or 17 years earlier, and I didn't know this until about 12 years ago.
Hmm.
Listening to one of the Quiet Storm stations, and I'm listening to it, and both both versions sound very similar. There isn't much of a difference between the versions, and I had heard of the Jones Girls before, but had never heard that particular song.
Hmm.
And so when I heard it, I was like, man, that sounds just like Escape. Like there's not much of a difference between between the songs, and Escape nailed it. I can't really think of they didn't really deviate from it was basically just a cover. It wasn't like a sample. It was basically a cover, and they did not derail at all from the original at all. I was very impressed by that because I've always liked the Jones Girls. I've always liked their sound. To me, they harmonized very well. It was to me they were almost like In Vogue before In Vogue. The four women, um, really strong vocals by all four of them, and as a collective unit, they're just really good. And I was never really a big fan of Escape per se, but I was, after hearing the Jones Girls version, I appreciated the Escape version even more. Um, so yeah, that's my first one right there.
Yeah, because there was some. I mean, as far as the two versions are concerned, it's between the two of them. I mean, they really are kind of the same. It's almost
Yeah,
karaoke rather than one being an improvement over the other. And I mean, as far as Escape is concerned, there's some
yeah,
pretty suspect singing going on in Escape. I mean,
yeah,
they had a couple of voices that were pretty decent. Tiny was hit
hmm
and miss.
yeah,
Um, she could be really shaky pitch wise. Um, and then the other one whose name is escaping me wasn't so great either in their escape. Get it? See what I did there? And then the harmonies. I remember especially hearing them on Tonight, and I thought this should not have been released. Like this is not good. This is really shaky.
and
Like
it's funny too because just kicking it is a song that I've always liked the beat, but
yeah,
I don't remember who was singing the lead, but she didn't sound very good at all.
I think it was Tiny on that one. If I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
she didn't sound very impressive. Like she just kind of had like this like take off your shoe. Like I don't know, it was just so kind of robotic. I don't know how you describe it, but
Yeah.
like I said, I didn't hate them, but it had a couple songs that I've always liked, but I was never like a real big. I was always more into SWV or In Vogue than I was Escape. But
Yeah.
after listening to the Jones Girls version, I was like, man, okay, so they really can sing. They just choose not to half the time, but they really can sing when they really put their mind to it. So I was impressed.
Yeah, that is a good track, and it does work really well. And I think it probably owes a lot to the production too.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah, very
production on
true.
it is just solid. That's not an easy track to nail, and
Yeah.
they nailed an almost karaoke version of it, which in this case is not an insult. I mean, they got really close to it.
Yeah, and I remember I was about 11. This is probably 95, and that song was all over radio too. So
It was, yeah, it was. You
yeah,
couldn't escape it. I'm sorry, that's the last time. It's just so easy. It's
I
there.
know. I put that over the plate, didn't I? I
I
lobbed it
mean,
over the
come
plate.
on. It's
Yeah,
I got a swing on it. I'm only human.
yeah,
So so okay, so I'll give you one of mine. Dre has like a million, and I have like in my brain right now. There's literally like two. So this is gonna be either gonna be very Dre heavy, or my assumption is that as he's going, I'll think of other things.
yeah.
I'd much rather improvise that way. But yeah. So the first thing I thought of is a little esoteric. It's by an artist named Zoe Ferguson. He's a DC artist, um, but he was born in Detroit, born and raised in Detroit, but his studios are out here. And he released like a trilogy of EPs, I guess you'd call it, called Just Visiting.
Okay.
Just visitings 1 through 3, and they weren't. They're not for sale. He gave them away um, because if you can give them away, you don't have to pay for the rights
Yeah.
to tunes. He was just kind of trying to get himself out there, and it worked. FYI, the whole thing worked like a charm. But as soon as I knew of their existences, I downloaded them, and as a result, became an absolutely raging fan of Zoe. And if you're not, something's wrong with you. I'll put the website in the description so you can get the albums because they're still available to just take for free, and they're fabulous.
Is
Uh,
that Lorenzo Zoe or
yeah, yeah, Lorenzo Ferguson. Yeah, yeah.
okay? Okay.
See, I knew you knew. I was trying to be all esoteric, and you know anyway. So,
I don't really know too much. I've heard the name before though.
man, I'm trying to tell you. But there was a record that was released in, oh gosh, I can't remember the year anymore. This is what happens when you get old, kids. Don't get old. But this was like the early 80s. I want to say it was 82. It was released only in Japan, a record by Eric Tag
Okay.
called Dream Walkin'.
Okay.
The title track is very cool, and there's a couple of really cool, like Promises, Promises is cool. Um, anyway, let's not get into a discussion of Eric Tag, but at the very end of the record, not the very end, but I think it's like the second to last tune, there's a song called Marzipan, um, which is a really silly title. The lyrics are silly, but the music is really cool. And so I was kind of sort of starting to get into Eric's version of it because I have that album. And and then I stumbled on these Zoe EPs that I downloaded, and I downloaded them one right after the other because I wanted all of it. Like I heard
Yeah.
Black Cow and I had to have all of it because he nails Black Cow. Um, but that's another one. But at any rate, so with Marzipan, the vocal is Eric Roberson, and you kind of can't
Oh,
fail with Eric Roberson, and the
yeah.
backgrounds of Fonte. Um, it's
Really?
it's ridiculous. It's so good. Like it takes there's already sort of an inherent groove in the Eric Tag version, but it's even more vicious. It just bangs the way Zoe does it, and it's got this Dilla thing because he loves Dilla just like we all do. So
Yeah.
it's got this very kind of Dilla almost ahead of so far ahead of the beat it's almost off.
So you got Dilla, Fonte, and you got Eric Robinson all in this one track.
Basically, yeah, it's
I wonder if I've heard that before.
ridiculous.
I'm gonna have
Uh,
to check that out.
Yeah, you need to hear it. It's ridiculous. Just Eric's vocal is enough to seal the deal, and if that's not enough, then you get Fonte in the background in the choruses, or doing the choruses. It's more like step outs than backgrounds,
Yeah.
but it's just ridiculous. And Zoe's playing, my gosh, it just absolutely murders the original version. I mean, I haven't gone back to the Eric Tag version in a couple of years. There's no
Okay.
need. Like, I am a huge Dilla freak. So
Yeah.
you
Who
put a
isn't?
Dilla beat on something, I'm going to listen to it, and you
Yeah.
will get me with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, you have to send me a link when you get a chance because I'm
I
gonna check that
will.
out.
Yeah, I will.
That's a deadly combination right there.
It's ridiculously. It's so, bro. It's absolutely cranking. It's so good. Okay, I'm done. You.
All right.
I could go on about that forever.
All right, so I'm gonna go way back in the day with this one, like way back before me and you were born, before our parents were born, probably before our grandparents were born too. So there was a song called "At Last" by
Yeah.
Glenn Miller and his orchestra, and I didn't know this until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it, yeah, it's whatever. But there was a young lady that came along about 25, 30 years later with Chess Records. Etta James. I'm sure everybody's heard that name before.
No, who's that?
Yeah. And she took that song and completely made it her own, to the point where nobody even knows that it was a remake. I
Yeah.
don't think many people really know that it's a remake unless they just bothered to look it up. You wouldn't know that. This song is played everywhere. No '60s playlist is complete without it. It's played at weddings. It's played at dances. It's played at homecoming dances, proms. You hear a lot of movies, TV shows. Um, no matter how old you are, there's a chance you probably heard that song somewhere before in a commercial or, like you said, at a dance. Etta James had such a beautiful voice, uh, and yeah, like I said, she completely just destroyed the original to the point where doesn't even exist in the minds of people anymore. Yeah, Etta James at last.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree
Yeah,
more with that. I mean, it's almost tough
yeah,
for me to look at it because I do or had been up until COVID-19 had been doing a fair amount of work in open mic, and every woman thinks that they're Etta James,
right.
and so I ended up hearing a lot of attempts on that song because
Yeah,
that's really what they were.
yeah,
So to be perfectly honest with you, in terms of like currently listening to it, it's nothing I'd ever put on anymore because I'm just sick to death of it because of what's happened with me work wise.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
is a great song, and I'm not deaf, and she
yeah.
sings perfectly. And um, the only thing that I will fault Etta James for are
Hmm.
the people that she influenced. If I never hear Christina Aguilera go near that song again, it will be over.
Oh, yeah,
Christina
yeah,
Aguilera sings it and it's a hot mess. She
yeah.
doesn't understand subtlety. She doesn't understand what makes songs work. She doesn't understand how to tell stories.
Right.
She's notoriously bad at all three of those things, and all of her worst tendencies come home to roost with At Last. It's awful. It's on YouTube. There are several
Yeah,
versions of it and it's just terrible.
yeah. I didn't care much for Beyonce's version either. It was a lot more tame than Christina's, but
Yeah,
yeah. I've
Christina's
never. Yeah, I've never really heard like a version after Edit that I actually did like. Oh man, I like that a lot. I've never really heard that. So Um, yeah, Eddie James nailed it, man. Completely made it her own. And whenever an artist can take a song that was done prior to them and they completely make it their own to the point where people don't even know what the original was or even know that there was an original, you're doing something. And like you said, you hear that in karaoke bars too. So
Oh, it's like people's go-to karaoke tune. Like
yeah, and the thing is, it's black women, it's white women, it's Hispanic women. Everybody tries to emulate that one particular song.
yeah,
And that's just it.
and they do it the way she does it. Like they
Right.
use her licks and her little runs and her
Yeah.
manner, not using anybody else's.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of like, well, I'll get to it. Because now you just made another one come into my brain.
Okay. There we go. There
So
we
many
go.
things. Of course, you're probably gonna end up saying it, and I'm gonna end up having to hold on to it. So I'm gonna keep it esoteric. And
Okay. All
I'm
right.
gonna go with a group out of Alabama, out of Oakwood College.
Mm-hmm.
They were on the Sing Off on NBC, and
Okay.
they won the year they were on. I believe it was 2012. And they released a record that, of course, a record, if it's coming from a TV show, is going to have plenty of covers on it. And generally, they're not going to be worth anything. Thankfully,
Mm-hmm.
it was not the case with this group. This group is called Committed. Um, and they released a fair amount of covers on the record, but they're all highly listenable, but none are more listenable than their cover of Sweet Home Alabama. I kid you not. It's actually really, really good.
They did a remake of that song.
They did a remake of Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home Alabama, and
It's like a it's like is it like an R&B version or
yeah,
huh?
it grooves for days. The singing is ridiculous. It is almost completely a cappella except for some
Okay.
percussion assistance, but it's basically a cappella otherwise, and
Okay.
it's fire. It's absolute. It doesn't. The arranger, um, Tommy Gervais, who sings with the group, is a great voice and a solo
Right.
career of his own at this point.
Yeah.
But he's just ridiculous. I love Tommy. But anyway, he took the tune and just completely like eviscerated it. Just like took away anything that was remotely rock and just made it groove. The vocal arrangement is insane. It's just like I don't even think of the Leonard Skinner version anymore. That's how good.
Wow. Really?
I absolutely love it. It's
Is
just
that because I'm a black guy and that's the only version I've ever heard. So yeah, it's always interesting to see artists do that cross genres to take a song and then bring it back to their genre and completely nail it. That's hard to do.
it is, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
I mean, I first heard it and I went, huh? Because I saw it on the back of the CD, and I was actually driving to see my father, who lives down in Fredericksburg. I'm in DC, so it's a little bit of a distance. I have plenty of time to listen to things.
Uh-huh.
And the song came on, and I had to pull off the side of the road. It was so good. Like, how are they getting away with this? Like, this should not work, but it does. It's just
Right.
so good. And you don't even, like, it makes you forget very quickly it makes you forget the Leonard Skinner version. That's how good it is.
Wow.
And the
Oof.
singing is just insane. And I mean, it's just like, why did nobody think of this? It's the work of, it's the work of genius. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but it's just that good.
I'm curious now. I'm very curious. I've never heard it before.
I'm gonna have to send you that link too. I love that I
Yeah.
went so esoteric that Dre now knows not two of the tunes that I've come up with. I love
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
I get, he's very difficult to stump, and I'm very proud of myself, and I can go on with my life now just because I stumped him twice. But yeah,
Uh,
so Committed, Sweet Home Alabama, you gotta hear it. I should put the link in the description of these things. Maybe I'll do that.
yeah.
But even if I don't, like, go search it out. You will be rewarded. I promise you.
All right.
So okay, your turn. Next.
Okay.
What's it?
So this song, it's not. I wouldn't say it's as good as the original, but I thought he did do the song justice. It's. I mean, it's Sam Cooke, so you can't really top what he's done. A change is gonna come. Obviously everybody's heard this song before. Um, Seal did a version in 2009, 2010. I saw it on um, VH1 Soul, and still, like I said, it's not it's never gonna top the original, but I thought he did a really good job with it. Seal's always been a really good singer. Why are you looking at me crazy like that for? Have you heard this version before?
I'm just gonna let you finish.
Yeah, and so I listened to it and I was like, okay, he did really good with that. Like I said, it's never gonna top the original. Sam Cooke is a goat of R&B, one of the goats of R&B. But I thought Still did a really good job with it. And so I applaud him for that. And I know you got something to say. I know you're gonna say something.
You know what? I'm gonna be nice for once in my miserable life. I'm gonna see, for me, when you bring up that song, the cover
Yeah,
that I think of, and you're gonna
yeah.
think this is completely insane. You just brought it to my mind.
What's that?
Wayne Brady.
His
I'm
version, his version was okay too. I heard his version before.
finally, all right, finally we're on the
I've
same
heard that. I've
page.
heard that version.
It's so good. I mean, it's karaoke. It
Yeah,
is. It is what it is. All
yeah.
the mannerisms are exactly the same. But I mean, just as a vocalist, just
Mhm.
to be able even to pull that off, and that key is very strange.
Yeah.
To be able to pull it off in that key and to nail it and to not sound like you're straining,
Hmm.
pretty incredible. And I mean, obviously that song lays right in Seal's range. It's nothing for him to do that.
Yeah.
But Wayne, absolutely, to my mind anyway, between the two versions, and yes, I have heard Seal's version, but between, to me, like, if
Hmm.
I had to pick the superior version, I would pick Wayne's quite easily. And
Ooh, I don't know about that, man. I don't because
you don't
Sill's
think
voice
so?
sounds nah. Sill's voice sounds really good on that track, man. It just sounds really good. Like his
Because
range and everything.
Seal is kind of like smokier, which
Yeah,
I don't mind. Like I,
yeah.
I like that a lot, but I kind of there's almost kind of, and maybe this is why I like it so much. It's
Hmm.
just from Wayne Brady, you wouldn't expect it.
That's a fair point.
Like, in fact, that record is full of things you would just not expect from Wayne Brady. It's a good record. I bought it just on the strength of what was it?
The
I
Ordinary
heard I
or
heard Ordinary Life and I liked it.
yeah, that was a good song. I have
And I
I
just
have that on my iPod.
yeah, and I just went ahead
Yeah,
and got it, and I was rewarded. Like, there are a couple of cringy things on that record, to be fair, but where he's trying a little bit too hard,
yeah.
but most of it's actually really really solid. There's the song about his recently divorced wife. It's excellent, but that's not what we're here for. But the
Okay.
but the yeah, I really do like his cover because it's just you would not think that he could get away with something like that, and he
Hmm.
could, and he could tell the story. I thought it was
Yeah,
really really effective too. I can see why you would like Seal's version better though. I
yeah,
completely get that.
yeah.
So pardon the look. It's just I was like, "Ugh." but I can, but I, but I could see why you would like that version better. I,
Yeah,
I do get it.
yeah,
So, there are a few good versions of that tune, to be fair. So,
yeah,
but none of them top Sam. I mean, at the end of the day, like,
yeah, yeah,
they're all using his as a template anyway. Just like with
yeah,
that last by Etta James, like they're all using that as a template,
yeah.
and you're
I
just
just
not gonna do better than that.
just unfortunate we never got a follow up from Sam. With that. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Man, can you imagine?
because he
And
was
it's
just because he
magic.
was really like he was really I mean he was already great, but he was really about to like go to the next level after that.
Yes. I kind of
Yeah,
feel that way about and we've already talked about the one that you know I would say, but I was kind of feeling that way a bit about Marvin Gaye too. Because he just got off Motown, was on Columbia, like he was
yeah,
really about to totally be on his own.
right.
He was beginning to understand the value of collaboration, was doing it all
Hmm.
through Midnight Love. Like I really wonder where that would have gone, you know?
Yeah,
I think he
I
was heading
mean,
somewhere really interesting.
but it's hard to top what he did in the early '70s because to me that's got to be one of the among the three or four greatest R&B records of all time. It's kind of hard to top that.
It
But I
is,
did,
but
yeah.
well, go ahead, you first. I'm
But
sorry.
I did really enjoy what he did in the '80s when he made that comeback, and I really enjoyed his rendition of the national anthem at the NBA All Star game. I thought
Yeah,
that was really well done.
nobody had ever heard anything like that, and people have attempted to emulate its
Yeah,
approach and have fallen flat on their faces.
yeah. It's not easy to do what he did.
Talking to you, Fergie.
Fergie.
Yeah, she tried to do something similar, and it's hilarious. It's on YouTube
Oh boy.
if you need to know. You don't, by the way. Just trust me. You don't need to know anything about it. It's that bad. Twitter's
Yeah.
sat over it.
Oh man. Yeah,
It's
I'm curious. I'm going to look that up just because now.
you won't get 10 seconds into it. You'll start laughing, and you won't be able to finish. It's that bad. It's so bad.
Uh,
And the girl can sing. It's not like she can't. She can definitely sing, but Fergie,
yeah.
Fergie
But
can.
I'm not really a big fan because the whole I think she kind of butchered Black Eyed Peas. I loved them so much more before she got there. I'm sorry.
This is a whole like topic that we could get into at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Like,
Black Eyed because I'm just gonna say this real quick and then we'll move on.
yeah, no, I know you have
When
to. I know what you're gonna say.
when I first heard Black Eyed Peas, Joints and Jams,
Yes,
this is the next Tribe Called Quest. This is what I thought. This is Tribe Called Quest.
me too.
And then after 2001 or whatever, I'm just like, I don't know you guys anymore. I don't know what you guys did. I don't want to know. You guys are
Where is the love showed up, and I was like, nice idea, but this is the best you could do. Like y'all used to be fairly forward thinking, and this is like chart chasing crap.
I
Like
mean, it worked for them. I mean, they were successful, but it was
it
just
did. It did, but I
yeah,
mean, at what cost?
yeah. Because I remember their very first album, man. Like I said, Joints and Jams. Like when I first heard, I was 14, and I was at that point I was already in the Tribe Called Quest. So when I heard that, I was like, man, I love this. I love this album. And then
Yes.
it just fell apart after that. Completely fell apart.
Completely. Because
Yeah,
there was another, see, now we're doing it anyway. There was, they had another woman in the group, and that was
right.
fine because she was,
She could
she,
sing. She was decent.
she was great. Yeah, she was good. But then they
Yeah,
brought in Fergie, who'd previously been in the trio Wild Orchid, which was a pop trio. And
yeah,
she came in and she can sing. I'm not going to
right.
say that Fergie can't sing. She can sing.
Yeah,
And she came in with this whole other thing. And I guess it was a combination of Will.i.am and Interscope that just thought, I know what we'll do. We'll sell out completely. Like, I've
right.
never seen a group sell out more completely. They just
Yeah,
completely sold out their talents
and I kind of
entirely.
and I kind of wonder how Will I Am sleeps at night knowing that because that was bad. It was really bad.
They had so much credibility and killed it
Yeah,
quickly. And then they just became
right.
a disposable pop act that moved. Because at the time of Joints and Jams, they were
Mhm.
telling whole stories with albums. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
they got to Where Is the Love and Don't Funk with My Heart and all that other nonsense. They just
Yeah.
became a singles act and they flamed out.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was hard. It's hard to watch that. And
Man,
to the point where you even forget that Joints and Jams was them. You forget that was them.
it was like a whole other band, you know,
Right.
a whole other group. So, and in
Yeah.
fact, it was.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I'm done with that. I just had to get that
I
out the
know.
way. Had to get that off my chest since it was on the table.
I
Had to
know.
had to mention it.
I'm the one who brought it up. It's my fault.
Oh man. Ugh.
So
Um,
okay, so I got another one, and
okay.
this is nothing I was gonna say, but just as is your custom, like you
Right.
things into my brain, um, and this is gonna come out as blasphemy to those of you who love the Beatles, but I don't care because I don't like the Beatles. I'm not a Beatles fan,
Yeah.
um, but so they released "Money Can't Buy Me Love," and I don't remember the year because I don't care.
I
Um,
think mid 60s. I
was it mid
think.
60s? I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
How nice
Yeah.
for them. And it's fine, I guess, for what it is. It's just not
Yeah.
my thing. That's all. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say
I'm
that
the
they're
same way.
talentless fools. It's just not my thing.
I was Rolling Stones guy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just none of that. I'm just not a British invasion guy. I'm an R&B guy. But by the 90s, and forgive me as I can't remember the year that Another Level by Blackstreet came out either. It's my brain's
Okay.
just not doing. I think it was 98, I think. Wasn't it? Was it 98?
The second album or the third album?
Yeah, second album, second album.
96,
That
96.
was 96. Okay.
Yeah.
See, shows you what I know. But I heard that record. I bought it on the strength of not No Diggity, but Don't Leave Me.
Hmm.
Because No Diggity's fine, but Don't
And
Leave Me.
that was a great remake too. Don't Leave Me, or a great sample. But carry
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah. By the way, yeah, thank you to
Yeah.
George. That,
Yeah.
that that song, like that song, created careers.
Yeah.
Thank you for stay with me very much, Bunny DeBarge. We love you. And that song is fire. But then, as I'm getting through the record, then all of a sudden I stumble on Money, the title "Money Can't Buy Me Love." I'm like, this can't be the same thing. There's no way. And sure enough, it's this complete like disembowelment of Money Can't Buy Me Love. It's a totally different tune.
Hmm.
Feels so much better, and Chauncey's vocal is crazy good, and the harmonies with the sub Roger vocoder thing going on in the background. It's just absolutely genius. Teddy Riley is just ridiculous. He's just out of his mind. Like when
Yeah.
you're going, like forget it. And like Another Level was like the best of Teddy Riley. It's the best he's ever been. All concentrated on one record. It just there's just jam after jam on that album, and there's better stuff even than Money Can't Buy Me Love, but that's up there. Like I dearly love that song and the way that Chauncey delivered the lyric, and it just, especially when it gets to like, I'm not gonna butcher it for you, but I may not have a lot to give, but what I've got I'll give to you. Like it's just kind of
Hmm.
when the Beatles do it, they kind of threw that line away,
You're right.
and it really felt like something when there was an intimacy and a real connection that Chauncey had with that lyric, and he, along with the two-part harmony that made it work, which is a production trick. Um, but it's just to me, it absolutely destroys the Beatles version. I never need to hear that again. Like that's for me as an R&B
I
lover.
agree. I
That's
agree. 'Cause I've heard the song a bunch of times, and I definitely agree with you.
it's genius. It's like I'm listening to him like, how'd you think of this? Like,
Yeah.
how do you think of these things? Like it's genius. I never would have thought of that. And it's been covered the same way. The aforementioned when we mentioned Wayne Brady's when it came into my brain, because Wayne Brady did kind of a copy
Yeah.
of that song, but not of the Beatles version of it, but
Right.
Blackstreet's, which is kind of cool. And it works. It works the way he does it. But nothing will ever, for the rest of my life, nothing will ever touch the Blackstreet version of that song. It's just amazing. Just amazing.
I'm with you there. I'm definitely with you there.
Anyway, blah blah. Your turn. Next.
Okay. So Hall and Oates, I'm actually a fan of this group. I know some people aren't, you know. And so Sarah Smile, I mean, that's just a when you hear the opening, it just sends goosebumps up your spine, the way the song starts. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. So after Seven did a version, I want to say in the late 90s, 96, 97.
I didn't think of this.
And I was like, Hall and Oates, move over,
I
move over,
mean, you're
move
right
over.
though.
Man, man. I heard this and I just like froze like what? Like I gotta hear that again. I gotta hear that again. That was one of those songs that I played, I want to say like 4 or 5 times in a row when I first heard it. It was that good. Kevin Edmonds,
Come on, man.
man, he
Kevin. You
complete
called him Kevin. I'm gonna slap you.
he com- he completely blew that out the water, man.
Yes.
Completely. Holy crap, the vocals and the notes and the way he carried it home.
Yeah.
I dude, I mean, he he yeah. Like I said, Hall and Oates version is greatness, but this tops it though. This tops it. Yeah, and a song like that you wouldn't think would be possible, but they did it though after Seven.
I have nothing to say. Like
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was in a slightly lower key too. So
that
it
could have
felt
been
a
it
little
too.
darker.
Yeah,
I mean, the lyric isn't, but darker is in maybe more sincere and
yeah,
a little more involved production wise.
yeah. Just the vocals, man. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Golly,
but that's
man.
what made it work, I think, was shifting it into a slightly lower, because I think it's like I think it's like a step down, I think, and it just sounds better.
Yeah.
Like the key's just better, I think.
I mean, golly, when I heard this, man, I was like, I gotta hear that again. I gotta hear that again. Like they like I had heard the song like when I was a kid, and I guess I probably didn't appreciate it. And then I heard it again like 10 years later, and
Because you
that's
were a kid, like you couldn't feel the emotion
yeah.
out of it
And
yet.
that's when I was just blown away, man, because I love the Hall and Notes version. I love Hall and Notes as a band, you know.
Yeah,
And so when I heard After
absolutely.
Seven's version, man, it's like I just wanted to get up and applaud, man. Like I just wanted to like give him like a slow clap for that one.
Yeah, I remember hearing it for the first time and kind of thinking the exact same thing. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like
Yeah.
it was an institution. Like
They did that.
even R&B radio grabbed it, like because
Yeah.
they couldn't deny it, and it's like, Kevon, you fool. Like I wasn't even surprised really, but I was like,
Yeah.
why you gotta hurt it like this? Like, what did it ever do to you? Like,
Yeah.
it's just so
And
good.
I don't even remember if that wasn't any of their albums. I think that was in the soundtrack because I don't think it was in the third album. I don't remember that. So I don't
It's on their greatest hits, of course, but was it
okay.
not taking
Okay.
my time? I can't remember.
I
Did
don't
it make
remember it
the
being
list?
on that unless it was like a bonus track or something because I don't remember hearing it on the original album.
I think it
'Cause
might have just been, and I think further, I think it's just Kavan and Melvin. I don't think that I can't remember his name. Don't get old. Don't do it to yourselves. The third guy in After Seven.
Danny or
No, Danny's now. He replaced Melvin. Is Melvin's
the
name?
one the one that oh, okay, the one that Jason Edmonds.
Not Jason. Jason also replaced Melvin. It's
Keith? Keith?
Keith. I couldn't.
Okay.
Please forgive me. I couldn't think of it. But yeah, like, but it's just the two of them, just like Ready or Not is. Ready or Not is just Kevin and Melvin. Keith is not involved in that song either.
When did Keith join After Seven? He was there. He wasn't there in the beginning, was he?
He was. He was there right at the beginning. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he was there at the beginning, for sure.
because okay, when it started, it was three of them, right?
Yeah, and he was one of those three. It was Melvin, Kavan, and Keith.
Okay,
This
he's
was
like the
this was
yeah
'89. You would have been a little young by that point.
yeah. I was probably like five or something. Yeah,
Yeah, you might not have been so aware, but I had
yeah.
that record the moment it came out. Like as soon as I
Okay,
heard Ready or Not, I'm like, copying that.
yeah. Ready or Not is a yeah. I love that song.
Yes.
That is like that is like premium Quiet Storm listening.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That and yeah, I care about you by Milestone.
Oh, with Casey and JoJo.
Yeah, but do you really care about them after you heard Kavan? Like,
It was kind of weird seeing that collaboration because that wasn't really. I guess this was right around the time when Casey and JoJo were going more family friendly. I guess, but at the time it felt kind of weird. But it worked though.
it did completely work, but I mean for me, like,
Yeah,
I mean it's all very nice and everything, but when
yeah,
And Melvin too for that matter, because Melvin could sing his face
yeah.
off.
Well, that was their style of R&B. So of course they were gonna do it better than what Casey and JoJo could do. I mean that to me that felt like more of like something that Boys to Men would have jumped on as
But
opposed to
there's
Casey and JoJo.
so check it. There's a
Yeah.
performance. There's a maybe you've seen it, but there's
Hmm.
a performance of them on the Oprah Winfrey Show when
Okay.
they were promoting Soul Food, the movie from which it comes.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack is
Really
oddly out
good.
of print, so you can't get it, but it's so good.
Hmm.
It's weird, right? Like it's not on Apple Music or anything, and you can buy the CD, but it's a
Yeah.
little pricey at this point because they know it's out of print. But
Okay.
yeah, so there's a version of them doing it on the Oprah Winfrey Show,
Hmm.
and just I mean, Kavan is a force of nature. Just
Yeah.
it's you forget that anybody else is there. He just kind of he's not doing it intentionally either.
Yeah.
It's just that he's that good.
Yeah.
Like when they launch into that bridge,
Yeah.
he it is and JoJo jumps in on the lower harmony. JoJo just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
He
Which is hard
doesn't
to do.
matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he could sing at that point. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he can't anymore. But at that
Yeah.
point, he still had his voice,
Yeah.
and he could still do it. But at that point, I mean, Kevon just turned him into chopped liver, just
Yeah.
because he's just better than everybody. Like I don't know that there was a better tenor, male tenor working at that point than Kevon Edmonds. I
Yeah,
really don't think there was.
I care about you, man. That's a good one.
Fire, absolutely fire. Just Kevon is so good, but and he does. Speaking of covers, now we can get back to the topic.
Yeah.
But he does. They did this great cover off of their last album, After Seven's last album, the one that Jason is on, by the way.
Okay.
Jason is on it, and Melvin is on it a bit too, although he's auto-tuned because he'd already had a stroke, I believe.
Yeah.
But so he was kind of he needed auto-tune to help him regulate pitch, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. But there's this version of Betcha by Golly Wow that is basically just Kevon.
That was on Reflections, or was it?
No, 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 not Reflections. Hold
Oh, the one
on.
that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, that one.
I don't think I've heard that yet.
Man, look.
I don't think I've heard that yet.
The album is called Timeless, and I knew that, but I'm old, so I couldn't remember. Yeah, it's that whole album is absolutely unadulterated fire. The whole thing. Like,
I've heard I Want You and Let Me Know. I think
yes,
off of that album.
yes.
Uh, okay, I have to go back and pay close attention. 'Cause I got some songs on that album on my iPod, but I haven't
But
really
everything is
taken it.
great. Like the
Yeah.
song, everything, not no, literally everything. But the song is called
Okay.
Everything, and that's great. Jason leads it, and it's phenomenal. If
Okay.
I, my gosh, it's not fair for an album to be that good. And I was a little late on Running Out is great. Um, Too Late is great. Like it's
Yeah.
just everything. Loving You All My Life, like everything
Okay.
you don't understand. Like everything is like it was just I was not expecting it when I got it because I heard Let Me Know and I thought let me give this a shot.
Hmm.
And I listened on iTunes just to snippets of things
Yeah.
and I went it can't really be this good, can it? So I bought the whole thing and it is.
Hmm.
It's fire from beginning to end. It doesn't have a bad track on it. It's that good.
I'll take your word for it because it's after seven, so I definitely could see that. I'll have to take a. I'm gonna go back and listen to that.
Man, but no, when you go to like Betcha by Golly Wow, and that'll just be my selection. It wasn't gonna be, but I guess it is now.
Okay.
It's um it's revoiced a little bit chordally, so it's not the
Mm.
same thing. It's in the exact same key, which is nothing for Kevon Edmonds. It's just like walking down the street on a Friday afternoon. That's nothing. And keep in mind, he was pushing 60 at this point.
He's 60, or he's that old
He's not a child. He's older than Babyface. He's the older brother.
because the dude sounds like he's like 35 still.
Yeah, I know he does. But no,
Because he,
he was 35 when he started in After Seven. He was already kind of older by then.
golly,
He's 62 years old now.
because he has such a young voice, like a young sounding
Yeah.
voice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's kept it all this time. He still has ridiculous range. It's
I
starting to fade just a tiny bit now.
I wonder what he's doing to keep to maintain his voice like that. I know people have like different secrets that they do. They do lemon juice and all kind of weird stuff, with their voices and
I,
man,
I would love to know too. There's a few that are that age that are still killing it. Lenny Williams is still killing it from Tower of Power. He can
yeah,
still do all that I
yeah,
love you stuff, and he can still do it
yeah,
even now.
yeah.
And I asked him on Facebook what he was doing, and he's like, "I just don't do anything bad." That
He
was
doesn't
his
smoke.
response.
He doesn't smoke or anything.
No smoking, no
No drinking.
dairy. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
See, and that's what killed that's what killed Casey because I
yes.
remember
And
I
JoJo.
yeah, I remember I met both of Casey and JoJo. I met them in 2001 at my dad's barbershop. And he was staying in Long Beach at the time, and they would get their haircut with the same barber that my dad would get his barber named Artist. And they came in and drunk, belligerent, just loud and like I said, I got a few words in. I met him, but I was like, okay, whatever. I met him. It was just it was so annoying. It was just so like I've been around drunk people, but this was just so far beyond like just being drunk and just being chatty. And it was a huge turn off meeting them. It wasn't the best experience. And I can see how they flamed out so fast their voices because them dudes are some stone cold alcoholics.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Casey, because Casey's voice is just kind of like that. It doesn't matter so much.
Right. But
But
yeah,
JoJo was a tenor, and you can't do that to tenor voices. And he doesn't. He has
yeah.
nothing now. There's nothing there. When they were doing shows pre-COVID, he was
Mhm.
singing playback.
Yeah, and I remember I saw a video of Casey that surfaced, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago. Man, he just looked so bad. Like not even just the voice, but just him in general, man. He just looked really, really like he was probably what, maybe 40, 45, 46, but he looked like he was about 60. It just looked really bad.
Yeah, he does look older. There's another cover in there. You realize that you're walking me right to another cover. If you think you're
Oh
lonely
my.
now,
Yeah, oh Bobby Womack, yeah.
go
That was on
to-
the Jason's Lyric soundtrack.
yes, it was. I bought
Yeah,
it just for that, and it
yeah.
was rewarded otherwise for other things on that record. Just
I like the
for
Whitehead
the
Brothers. I like the Whitehead Brothers. Um I was named that song. You know what I'm talking about.
remind me.
The Whitehead Brothers, it used to be a G. And then I like the Will You Know, the Black Men United. That was really good.
You will know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If Trouble was Money.
Yeah. Yeah. Adela Adams had a song on there too. Across the River. That was
Yeah,
really
Alita
good.
Adams. Yeah,
Yeah. What do I call her? I keep calling her that. I don't know why I do
you
that.
called her Oleta,
I did that again. I did that again.
like she's a vegetable.
Yeah, I remember we discussed her one time before, and I did the same thing. I did the
Yeah,
same
she was
thing.
Oleta then too.
Yeah. Oh well. I don't know. Anyway, that's my bad.
Like they
I
must
have to
have run
work
out
on.
of iceberg, so we use Oleta instead. Sorry. Um,
Oh man.
but that's a good one too. Like if you think you're lonely now,
Yeah.
I'm cool just to hear that version. I don't really need to hear Bobby Womack's
Yeah.
version anymore. It's done in much the same style, but
I'm really not a Bobby Womack guy. It's just a deeper story than that. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of his.
oh,
Yeah. And it goes far beyond the music. It's just some stuff like reading about him.
oh, he's a
Huge,
hot
huge
mess as
turn.
a human being. Yeah,
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Sam Cooke stuff. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Look it up, children. Look it up
Yeah.
because it's Bobby Womack's a mess. Tell a friend.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I covered one by accident, so it's your turn again.
Okay, so this one of my all-time favorite songs. My mom kind of put me onto the song when I was little. "Lovely Day" by Bill Withers. It's one of those songs that when I hear it, like it gets me. It gets choked up. I can't listen to it all the time. Every so often I break it out, but it's one of those songs I just get completely lost in. I
Who's the
hear it.
original?
Oh, you know what? I don't even know the original. I don't, but
See,
yeah, I don't know but I was actually gonna talk
that's
about
not the rules.
yeah, but that's
That's
not the version.
it's
Yeah,
his tune. I don't think it's a cover. I think that's just his.
what Bill Withers? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know there was another song prior to that. If there was, I didn't know that.
No, that's just his.
No, 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 I'm not done yet. I'm not done. So, "Lovely Day" by Bill Withers, one of my all-time favorite songs. The one that I'm talking about, Kurt Franklin did a version in the late '90s. Um, I want to say it's on the New Nation album, the one that came out after God's Property. It was
Okay.
98, 99. They did a version, and I always liked it, but then I heard it at a funeral one time, played before the actual funeral, and I don't know, it just for some reason when I heard it that time, it just got me and it just grabbed me, and I just kind of broke down.
Hmm.
My great uncle had passed away, and when I
Oh,
heard
I know where you're going. Okay, I remember
yeah,
now.
you've heard that "Lovely Day." You've heard that version, the gospel version by Kurt Franklin.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I loved it. I loved the pitches and the harmony and the tune, and at the end, I don't know the lady that was singing, but like the way she was shouting and yeah, it's really good. I love that song, and it's hard for me to say it's better than the Bill Withers version, but it's right up there for me.
yeah, yeah. That would.
You've heard it before. You know what I'm talking about?
I have heard it. Yeah,
Okay,
but
yeah,
I still think that it's. I guess maybe in this instance, for me anyway, it's just a
yeah,
familiarity issue. But I think the Bill Withers version is pretty definitive for me.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's '70s. Listening. You know, but yeah, the Franklin version I thought was done really really well. Like I said, it's
Was
hard for me. It's hard for me to say it's
yeah.
better than the original, but they did it justice though. They took put that gospel twist on it, and they kind of made it their own thing. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
yeah,
I'll give you that. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, right.
So, okay, so you keep shoving things into my brain. So, and this is obvious. I'm going to give you something that's really obvious. So, many, many thousands of years ago,
Hmm.
I think it was back in 19, what was it? I think this is 1970, I believe. An
Okay.
artist showed up on the scene. artist, songwriter, singer songwriter named Leon Russell.
Yeah, I know. I had that on my list too, but I kind of figured you were gonna have it
There's
on yours too.
no way you don't know where this is going. You have
Yeah,
to.
I know exactly where it's going. Yeah, and I had
But
it on my list too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But he released a song called oddly enough, a song for you. Isn't that meta?
Hmm.
And it's his version is decent. It's not terrible. He's not much of a singer,
Right.
but it does feel real coming from him. He
Hmm.
wrote it about someone, and so it does feel very organic and very honest coming from him. Um, about a year after that, my favorite
Yeah.
artist of all time
Yeah.
released the only cover of that song that matters.
Yeah.
Um, and it's there are very few better songs, period. Never mind cover versions. It's just the descending piano lick, the liberties he takes with the melody vocally. I mean, it just feels absolutely perfect, and it's almost like elegy the way it comes off.
Yeah.
It's one of the best covers of anything I've ever heard.
And it's his, like you said. Anything that came after that was done to kind of emulate his, and not Leon Russell's.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, the
Yeah.
only deviation I can think of is when the Carpenters took a shot at it a year later, or a couple of years later. No, a year. It
Yeah.
was yeah, it was a year later. Um,
Right.
and Karen Carpenter had a great voice. She just did.
Yeah.
And the version that they did is very pretty, and it isn't like Donny's. It is different. It's got a nice little sax break in it. It feels kind of like it feels almost like cocktail jazz at certain points, kind of like a saloon song.
Hmm.
And it's longer. And Karen's voice is ridiculous. You're not, in terms of like female pop vocalists, she's as good as it ever got. And there will never be anybody better than that. And anybody that appreciates singing is well aware of that. Thank you very much. But still, like there's a way that even given how completely she resonates,
Hmm.
there's nothing like a Donny Hathaway vocal. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean,
Because yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
we both agree he's the greatest voice of all time. We both agree on that.
Yeah, done. Like period. And
Because
just as you go ahead,
you
go
can hear
ahead.
you can hear the pain in his voice, man. You can just hear it. It's a depressing song to me, but it's one of the songs you just can't stop listening to.
Yeah.
There's so much pain and heartbreak and darkness, and it's yeah, it's something. It's powerful.
Yeah, I mean the song in and of itself, even just taken as a tune, like the song itself it's kind of like it's a dichotomy
Hmm.
because it is a love song, but the way it was written, it just
It's tragic.
there's a tremendous sadness to it.
Yeah.
Just the
It,
way
it 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 almost feels tragic. Like he's like I don't like they didn't have music videos back then, so I don't. It's almost like he's on his deathbed, or I don't know, or she's on her death. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like
right.
they were together, and if for some reason he didn't treat her well, or he didn't treat her like he should have, and he knows he's at the end of the line, and he's singing his regrets and he's singing his heart out, and it just sounds very tragic. The way he sings it, and the tone of the song.
Yeah, had I been thinking more clearly, I mean
Yeah.
it's in the B section. You came out in front and I was hiding.
Yeah.
But now I'm so
Yeah.
much better if my words don't come together. Listen to the melody because my love is in there hiding. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeesh.
defy you to find me a better lyric than that. Like
Yeah.
it's just
You're absolutely right.
it's such a good lyric. And I mean, even just thinking about it kind of gets me. But it's
Yeah.
just such a great tune, um, and all of the other versions that have succeeded Donny's version have copied his.
Hmm.
I remember one specifically that I really liked was Ray Charles' version of it. Um,
Hmm.
It's Ray Charles. Ray isn't playing the piano. That's Greg Fillinganes, and we both love dearly.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just insane. His version of it it's in a lower key because he's older,
Yeah.
but it just works. It's if you haven't heard it, I think it got a Grammy the year it came out,
Really.
and it should have. It's that good. Um, but
I've
there's
heard
go
I've
ahead.
heard it before. I've heard it before, but it's been a while.
It's insanely good. Even though knowing where it came from, because all you can do at this point, because Donnie's is so definitive, all you
Hmm.
can do is do a variation on his arrangement. It's just the accepted version now.
Yeah,
So everybody has to do that cascading chord thing. Everybody
right.
has to do it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
But his version is just spectacular. So there you go, two good cover versions for one, but they're just excellent. But nothing beats Donnie's version of a song for you. It's
yeah.
one of the best covers ever done in music history.
I agree. Definitely agree. That's a good
Thank you.
one. I knew you had that one. I was gonna. I'll let him
I did it
dive in
though.
that one. Oh, you
You
did? Oh,
said
okay.
you said something, and I went,
Yeah,
"Wait, Ed, you idiot!" Like it went
yeah,
it went into my brain.
yeah.
So
All right. So I got one. So this is the original is by my one of my all time favorite artists, Anita Baker, Angel. I can't think of a single bad thing to say about Anita Baker. Anita Baker is she's on the pedestal to me, man. I absolutely love her music. I can't think of a single thing bad to say about her. Um, Layla Hathaway did a version of that um, 4 or 5 years ago. Have you heard it?
no,
Really?
you got me.
She did
Congrats.
a she did it's like a live. I think it's a live version. It's it's on the album, but it's a live version that she put on the album. Knocks it out the park, grand slam.
Wow. Okay.
It okay. So you know how we talked about Intro's version of Ribbon in the Sky that they did for the cover Stevie Wonder.
That's another one.
Yeah, yeah. But
Oh,
Layla Hathaway did the version, and the first 2.5 3 minutes of the song, it's Anita. She does it like Anita did it, and
right.
then the last 2 minutes of it, she does her own thing with it, puts her own little twist on it, and just
Okay.
makes it her own. And you know, and like I said, I can't think of a single bad thing to say about Anita Baker's music, but I think Layla got her on this one. I think Layla got her.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I think I think Layla got her on this one.
As big of an Anita Baker freak as you are to say that,
Yes, yes,
wow,
yes,
that's a lot right
yeah.
there.
But I've always loved Layla too, though. I've always loved her music. You know,
I have yet to dive in really into Layla Hathaway.
yeah, I liked.
I
I
don't
even
know
liked her.
why, but I haven't.
Really, I even liked the early stuff, like during the New Jack Swing era. Baby Don't Cry. With I think Angela Winbush sings the vocals, background vocals on that. I've
Oh,
always,
I
yeah.
love Angela Winbush.
You've ever heard that? Baby Don't Cry. That's her first album.
I haven't delved into Layla. Somehow I have missed.
Really,
I am ashamed. I know.
really.
I'm ashamed.
Wow.
I know. I'm
Bec-
sorry.
Like she's not quite like her dad, but she really created her own lane, especially later in her career, like towards the mid to late 2000s, as like Quiet Storm Radio was becoming its own force of nature. She carved out her own lane, and she's been very 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 good. I've seen her in concert. She's very very good. Love her music, but yeah, I think she got Anita on Angel. I think she got her, and that's hard to do, man. That's hard to do.
Dag.
Yeah,
That's scary. I'm gonna have to check that out for sure then.
yeah, and you can tell it was it's a live recording because you can hear people singing along with her, but it's so good. It's really so good. I can't Words can't do it justice. You got to listen to it for yourself.
I will. Count
Yeah,
on it. All
yeah,
right. I gotta check that out then because I do love that Anita Baker version.
yeah,
I'll have to check that out. I know that took a lot for you to say.
yeah. It did. It did. It did.
So all right, since you brought it up, we must go there.
Okay.
So Stevie Wonder,
Yep.
songwriting genius that he is, gave
Hmm.
us Ribbon in the Sky, and his version is very cute.
Yeah.
Didn't do too much for me when it came out, but I understood why people loved it. It wasn't, for me anyway, it wasn't until 1993 that I heard a version of it show up on PGC, which had been the R&B station around here. I didn't know who did it,
Hmm.
and I heard it maybe two more times, and the stupid DJ, it was Albie D at the time, he wouldn't identify the artist. Drove me nuts. Did you remember that? Like, didn't you hate that? Like, you would hear something and you couldn't get an identifier, and there was no internet at this point,
So
really.
you had to get a tape, sit
Yeah,
by the radio, and then hope they played that song and just get it on the cassette. Only
Yeah,
way it was done back then, man. Good times. Good
yeah,
times.
yeah. With radio compression and the ad that would cut off the end of the song, and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the agony. Or the DJ that would like talk over it at the very beginning, so you never got the beginning of the song.
Yeah. Every time, man. Every time. Oh man. Thank
It
God
was
for satellite radio. Thank God for that.
it was hard times, y'all. Hard times. Hard
Yeah.
times. Be glad we're over that. But finally, after maybe the third or fourth time that I heard it, he it wasn't him either. It was, I think it was Dejor, but he finally identified the thing.
Hmm.
And I remember I was downstairs in my little music room, and it was like 9:45 at night, and I was getting tired. But I heard the song, and that woke me up real nice. And he finally identified it. And I had a pen nearby, and I wrote it down. And I went, well, I guess I'm taking a ride tonight. So I got in the car and drove myself to Tower Records because they stayed open until midnight.
Nice.
This was 93, and yeah, and it wasn't close. It took me about 35 minutes to get out there,
Okay.
but I had to have this. I had to have it, and so I
Like,
thought I'll go to the wall and get the single because you remember they used to have the singles on the wall.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll just get the single and be done with it. Surely the single is out. So I
Mhm.
go, and there's nothing in the single rack. Like, no. And I'm looking everywhere for it, like in the CD singles, not there, you know. And so I thought, let's see if there's an album for it. So I go, and there's one copy of it, and it was in a busted case. Like the case was just destroyed, and it was
Mm.
the only one they had left, and they wanted like $16 for it. You remember what it was like then? It was
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, I have to have this song. It's driving me nuts. I have to have it, and I have to have it so that it sounds good. And I'm sure the rest of the record will make it rewarding. Like
Yeah.
I have to. So for a single song, your boy went up to the register with that beat up CD and bought it. I didn't even care that the case was busted. Remember, I took the cellophane off of it, and the case just fell apart in the car. Just dead.
Yeah.
The CD was intact, and it worked. And I played it. That song is so completely good. The Untouchables are
Yeah.
responsible for its production,
Okay.
and it sounds like 1993.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, and then like Kenny Green's vocal, my gosh. Like he outdid Stevie on his own song.
Hmm.
There are very few instances of that, but that's just how good Kenny was. Kenny Green was so good and so agile vocally and such a good interpreter that he could outdo Stevie Wonder.
Right.
Not easy. Dude was he's the most underrated R&B male vocalist maybe ever.
And not only that, but that whole album was pretty good. Like,
Yes.
especially if you okay, especially like for you, if you just bought that album only knowing that one song,
Yeah.
you got Let Me Be the One and Love Thing too on that and Come Inside. Like you got your money's worth.
Yes,
They,
I was not bothered, okay?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was stuck on that song on repeat for a good couple weeks because I was
Hmm.
impressed. It was so good. But then after that, I started listening to the rest of it. I'm like, and just as you mentioned, like those tunes, I was like, I
Yeah.
am fine with my purchase. We good.
Right.
Like it was
Yeah.
so good.
I liked Intro, man. I remember, like I said, I remember when I was 9. I didn't know who they were, but I remember Let Me Be the One. I remember hearing it, and after a while, came and went. But then I rediscovered it again back in like 2002, and I was like, "That's who sings that." I've been looking for this song, man. But yeah, that's a very good album. Like you said, it sounds very very of the time,
Yeah.
but it's a solid album, man. Like if
Yes.
it's very solid. They're kind of like them and what Silk and Ace Town kind of emulated Jodeci's, fashion, the baggy jeans, kind of look more hip hop than R&B, but
Yeah.
them boys can sing though. They can sing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially Kenny, because most of it was Kenny.
Hmm. Right.
Like most of
Yeah.
those stacks are just one voice. They're not three. And that's customary with a lot of vocal groups,
Hmm.
especially with like High Five and others like that. They
Right.
just take Tony Thompson and just overdub him 1,000 times, make him sound like a group.
Yeah.
That was done a lot. The deception was real, but
Yeah. And they did a lot of Ribbon in the Sky too at the end.
yeah, it's basically just Kenny.
Yeah.
with probably very little of Buddy and the other guy whose name is escaping me because I'm old, not because
He's
he's
who he Kenny's one that passed away, correct?
Kenny passed
Yeah,
away from AIDS. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's actually how I rediscovered intro. What was that? 2001, 2002? Because I saw an article and intro, and I was like, huh. I was like, let me check them out. I was about 17, 18. I had a Audio Galaxy, which was kind of like a
I
thing you can
remember.
download music. Because
Yeah.
Because Napster had been kind of, they had kind of caught on the Napster, so I had to find other sources of music. And now
Oof, yeah.
I started, and that downloaded Let Me Be the One was the first song I downloaded, and I instantly recognized it. Instantly recognized it. I was so excited. I was like, man, I've been looking for this song for like 6 years, and I finally found it. And but yeah, in the Ribbon in the Sky song, as you said, for some reason I wouldn't give it the time of day because I was such a huge Stevie fan already. So I'd hear it, I'd get to like the first minute and a half, and then I would skip over it. And this went on for like a good 5 or 6 years, and then finally I just let it play, and I was doing other things, and I heard the very end of the song, and I stopped what I was doing, and I was like, I've been missing out this whole time. Been missing out
Yes,
this
you
whole time.
had.
Yeah, yeah. So I was probably like 23 when I finally like just gave it a good listen, and I was very impressed.
Oh my
That
gosh.
ending, okay, like the first 2 minutes of it are good, but that ending just makes it incredible.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it's and I'm even going to give you two for one now because I thought of another one.
All right.
So the second record came out by the same group. That's it all
Mm-hmm.
fits together. And
Yeah.
I bought that album Note Unheard. I didn't know what was on it, but I didn't care. Like
Mm-hmm.
surely the second record's probably going to be even better. Well,
Yeah.
the truth is it isn't. It's not terrible. It's just not
Mm-hmm.
as good, unfortunately. It falls off.
Doesn't have the singles on it that the first one has.
It doesn't. It's like I mean, I got two things out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the cover that was on, they did this cover of Bobby Caldwell's "What You Won't Do for Love,"
Yeah.
which is sickeningly good. In fact, it's one of the earliest productions of the production team we now know as the Neptunes. Um,
Man, I forgot to put that one on my list.
Man, it's so it's so ridiculous. Like the rhythm is
Mm-hmm.
completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kenny sings it like nothing. Like again, like he's walking down the street on a Friday afternoon. It's just nothing. It's
Mm-hmm.
right. It's in his pocket all day long. Just absolutely nails it. They even nailed the horn licks at the end that I was waiting for. They even gave me a little of that in the fade out.
Yeah.
It's all done by voice, but it sounds absolutely fantastic. The groove is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean it's not. Bobby Caldwell's version is definitive. I'm not going to go
Yeah.
down that road, but
Yeah.
man, it's close. It's really close for me.
I've you know, I honestly haven't listened to that second album. It's been a long time, so
Mm,
I'd probably have to go back and give that a listen.
you need to. It's great, and Somebody Loves You is great too. That's the other song I got off of it that I love.
Okay, I didn't know they remade that too. Okay.
It's not a remake. It's just theirs.
Oh, okay.
But it's dude, it's so good. It's so good.
All
It's so
right.
good. It's good. Um, but yeah. So I mean, intro just became the master of cover for me after that. Like just incredible covers, both of them. So okay,
Yeah.
I gave you two for one. So next, what else you
All right,
got?
I got one. I got one, and I think this is better than the original. And I know you're probably gonna jump on me, but I feel validated in saying this now because of what happened 10 years ago. So Prince did "How Come You Don't Call Me," and Stephanie Mills did one. I think like a couple years later, which I thought was kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I heard it, but then I heard Alicia Keys' version in 2001. And I remember at the time, I told my stepdad this, and we almost got in a fight because my stepdad's a huge Prince fan,
Hmm.
and I told him, "Hey man, this version is better than Prince's, man." And he almost lost it. He almost lost it. But I feel validated in saying this now because in 2010, at the BET Music Awards, they honored Prince with the Lifetime Achievement Award. He was there in the audience, and a couple of people did different variations of some of his songs. Like Trey Songz tried to do Purple Rain, and
Mm.
Prince's reaction to that was priceless. There's got to be a GIF somewhere on Google that you got to find, man. His reaction to Trey Songz, he like rolled his eyes like he did not just try to do my song. You got to find it. And
Mm.
there's a chick sitting next to him that just starts cracking up laughing at his reaction to it. And
Mm.
yeah, Trey, don't get me started on Trey Songz. But
Yeah.
anyway, Alicia Keys, yeah, Alicia Keys went on like a maybe like a hour later. She performed, and she did like three. She did like three songs, three covers of Prince's songs. One of them was "How Come You Don't Call Me," and Prince was loving every single minute of it. He was loving it. He was up dancing, and he was loving it. Like, and Prince seems like the type of guy that's very hard to impress.
Yes, he is.
Alicia Keys got him. Like he was loving every minute of her performances, and so I feel validated in saying that I like Keys' version better than Prince's. And that's not to knock Prince's version because Prince is, like I said, he's one of the goats to me, and it's a great song. But I thought she nailed it though. The bass and her tone and her delivery, and she's always been a good singer, and she's a great piano player. So yeah, I thought she nailed it. And to see Prince enjoying that her version the way he did, just validated my opinion.
Well, I'm about to shock you because I completely agree with you.
Oh wow, okay. I thought you were gonna jump.
Completely.
I thought you were gonna jump down. I thought you were gonna jump all over me for that one.
No, 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 no. I agree with you.
Okay.
I completely agree with you. Like it has a completely, it's done in the
Yeah.
same key as Prince's
Yeah.
is. Why mess
Yeah.
with it? But it was done in in a woman's key anyway.
Yeah.
But it just the groove,
Hmm.
like, come on. And like I believe her when she's all I want to know is baby if what we had was good how come you don't call me like I totally believed her.
Yeah.
Totally believed her. That's half the battle right there. Like I
Yeah.
got to know you're in it to like tell me the story.
Yeah.
And she does. It's very convincing. She does an
Yeah.
excellent version of that tune. I agree completely. And it is
Did
better than Prince's.
Did you ever see the BET Music Awards 2010? When did you see? Because he was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was, like
For
I said,
I probably
when
did. It's been a
when
long
Keys was
time.
up, when Keys was up there, man, Prince was having the time of his life, man. I've never seen Prince like that before.
I wonder if it's not on YouTube if it can't be looked at again.
Yeah,
I have to
but
go
you
back.
got it. But look up his reaction to Trey songs. I'm telling you, you're gonna laugh.
Yeah, but then that would require me to listen to Trey Songz doing Purple Rain.
No, there should be like a GIF. There's probably like a GIF of it. You can probably find the. I know. I'll try to find a GIF and send it to you, man. It's
Yeah.
hilarious because Prince like gives this look like, and then there's a chick sitting next to him. She's bald, and she just starts cracking up at his reaction. I mean, she just starts. I mean, yeah, like Prince was not feeling it at all.
No, that's a little too much song for Trey Songz.
Yeah, the only people that I feel can do that, that can do Purple Rain, are Maxwell and D'Angelo. Those are the only two voices that come to mind. I don't. There might be some others, but those are the only two people that come to mind that can pull that off. I think.
Yeah, a lot of people were taking unfortunate liberties with that song after Prince passed,
Really?
and most of them shouldn't have. Oh, there are covers of that tune. Maroon 5 did one.
Oh no, they didn't.
It's not a disaster. I promise
Okay.
it's not a disaster. It's not good enough, but it's not a
Yeah.
disaster.
Okay.
Oh geez, Chris Cornell.
How'd they get permission? Because
Uh,
Prince owns his masters and he's very picky about his music.
but he passed away.
Oh, so this was after he passed away then.
Yeah, this was like the
Okay.
free for all period.
Okay, yeah, because I remember you couldn't even find his stuff on YouTube. You actually had to buy it if you wanted to find it. It was hard to find on YouTube, and
Imagine that. If you want to listen to somebody's music, you have to buy it.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
done. I won't
Yeah.
go there. I won't do it to you,
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but yeah.
Mr. Audio Galaxy over there to my right.
Hey man, I was 17, man. I didn't have no real money back then.
Uh-huh. It's an excuse. Save until you do, you putz. All right.
Oh man.
Uh, all right. So yes, I have another.
Okay.
So I have never heard another cover of this tune by anyone because nobody's dumb enough to try to cover it. Um, it's a British duo back in the late 80s, mid late 80s. Um, they released a song called Everything She Wants.
This is oh, okay. Wham.
It's Wham.
Yeah.
There's an H there. It's Wham. I'm messing with you, but with the exclamation point.
Yeah.
So it's Wham. Anyway, I'm being an idiot now. But anyway, but the tune comes out and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's a great song, just kind of is. It's a legitimate story song. It's got great lyrics. The groove is insane. Who doesn't love a good Lindrum?
Hmm.
Um, and George did it all by himself. Like Andrew was not involved in that recording. It's all George. It's one of George's
Okay.
solo things. But at any rate, so the tune came out and went all the way to #1 everywhere. It did well in the R&B charts too. It should have. It's an R&B song. Many years after the fact, I mentioned Zoe to you earlier on one of his Just Visiting things. Took a shot at it, and it's genius. It's
But what's the name of the song again?
Everything She Wants. You've
Okay,
heard
that's
that
right.
song.
Yeah.
You know that song.
I've never heard the remake though. I've never heard the version you're talking about though.
So good. So Fonte does the lead on it,
Oh, okay.
and it's George's version feels good because he wrote it and he tells the story really well.
Mm-hmm.
But Fonte's is darker. Like the
Okay.
track is like midnight. It's so dark and angry, and because George kind of took like the exasperated route.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to give you everything and nothing is good enough, and oh great, now you're telling me that you're pregnant. Like
Yeah.
I'm already not giving you enough. How am I supposed to do it now with a kid? He was exasperated. Fonte was angry. And so it feels not angry as in loud and brassy or anything, but angry as in there's this dark undercurrent
Okay.
that he brings out of it that did not come out otherwise. The vocal arrangement is completely different. The groove is, of course, because it's Zoe, it's very Dilla beat, just
Mm-hmm.
slightly ahead, but still kind of sort of on.
Yeah.
Um, it's just ridiculous. And the best part is at the end of the tune, they mix in a little bit of "Remember the Time" by Michael Jackson.
Wow. Interesting.
It makes perfect sense though. Like it totally fits the story. And
I can't see it in my head, so I'm gonna have to listen to that because I can't really picture that
I'll,
combination in my
I'll
head.
send you the link. It's
Okay.
fire. It's so ridiculous. Fonte's vocal is just perfect. Just
Yeah.
perfect for it.
Me and you are big Fonte fans, so I'll probably enjoy it.
So good. But it's like it ends up becoming it's not a completely different song, but it's a completely different dimension on that song that was not otherwise there.
Okay.
I still have no problem listening to the Wham version of it as long as it's the really long one. Like, because I
Okay.
want like the C section and I want the whole, all 6 minutes of it. If I'm going to
Yeah.
listen to it, I want the whole story. But man, like, it's hard to choose. That's how good Zoe's version of it is. I'll have to send it to you, but
Okay.
I'll do even better. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can check out these Zoe tunes because
Okay.
virtually every cover he did, and it's crazy, and it's all free. He's giving them away, but
Oh, nice, nice.
it's yeah, and we know that you like to steal. So in this particular instance, you don't
That's
actually
still
have to
borrow.
steal. It's just
Borrow.
no, you don't have to borrow either. It's you can actually just have it. He gives it unto you.
Oh man.
You don't have to find a way to steal it anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're
Okay.
trying to do with that Eric Robeson tune the other night. But anyway, sorry. But jointheprocess.com, children. That's how
Oh
you get the
man.
stuff you want from Eric Robeson.
Yeah.
But yeah, just an absolutely phenomenal cover. Just phenomenal cover.
Okay.
What else you got? I know you
I'm gonna
have
I'm gonna give you a 2 for 1, like you did me
good.
earlier.
Finally,
So, Boys to Men did 2 covers. They did "I'm Only Human" by the Human League back in, the song came out in '86.
was
I've
that
always
good?
liked
So it was
what.
good. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, the Boys to Men version came out in '97. Evolution, the third album. It's not the title's a little different. It's called Human 2,
Right.
but it's along the same lines. You'd recognize that it's a cover or that it's a sample or whatever, and it's basically they changed up the lyrics a little bit, but it's still kind of the same theme. Um, I love the Human League version too because it's so '80s. I love the sound of it. But I love the Boys to Men version because them dudes can just flat out sing, man.
That
I
would be
mean,
tough. That's tough to beat, though. Like
yo,
that Human League version is. Ooh,
yeah, but I'll send you the Boys to Men version.
my
Like
God.
it's obviously more on the R&B side, but the vocals are top notch.
Well,
Um,
yeah, it's Boys to
and
Men.
And Wanya Morris, man, he knows how to carry a song home. He knows how to bring it home. So yeah, it's up, man. That's a very, very good song. I was very impressed the first time I heard it. I've loved it ever since. Um, the
Hmm.
second one would be I don't want to say the second one is better than the original, but
I
Can You
know
Send the
where
Rain?
you're going.
Can You Send the Rain? You've heard it? Can You Send the Rain?
You didn't go where I thought you were going.
Oh, where'd you think I was gonna go? You thought I was
I
gonna go
was
yesterday. You thought I was thinking about yesterday.
no, actually.
Okay, okay, but
I'll
yeah,
spill it when you're done. Go ahead. You're talking. I'm
okay,
sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So Can You Send the Rain? The boys, which actually was the first version I heard. Actually, I didn't hear the new edition version,
What?
or maybe I did, but I just don't remember it. I was like
What?
12. I was 12. I was 12 when I heard the
I
Boys
don't
to Men
care if you
version.
were three. What? Are you serious right now?
Yeah, because I really didn't get back into New Edition. It was this song that actually that really introduced me to New Edition. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
You heard the Boys to Men version of it first?
You know what? And here's the thing: I might have heard the New Edition version first, but I probably forgot about it until I heard the Boys to Men
What?
version.
You
Yeah,
that just made it worse. You heard it and forgot it?
I was
Are
like
you
4 or 5.
high?
That song came out when I was like 4.
I don't care if you were 3 months out the womb. What? Are you serious, right? I'm reading it right now.
um,
Are you
I'm
serious?
telling you, man. Yeah,
Come on, bro.
yeah. That's the first version that I remember was the Boys to Men
My
version.
gosh.
Yeah, it's a good version. I don't want to say it's better than New Editions, but it's a different
You
take on
better
it.
not.
No, I wouldn't say that because theirs is acapella. But the Boys to Men version is really good. Like I said, acapella is their thing, man. They nail it every single time.
My gosh, I can't believe I just heard that come out of your mouth. Wow. I'm blown. I'm so mad.
Oh man. But yeah, so I heard the Boys to Men version was also I think on Evolution, the third album.
Yes, it
Um
was.
and Wanye once again did a good job. He's not quite Johnny Gill or anything like that, but he did a good job taking the song home.
Nobody's Johnny Gill. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But Wanya's a good singer in his own right. I don't know how he would
Sure.
have done. I don't know how well he would have done solo by himself, but with Boys to Men, man, he was phenomenal.
He's even better now because his voice is deeper.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, he nailed the song. I thought the Boys to Men version was actually it was really good. As a matter of fact, I think they performed that for Michael Bivins, and that's how they got signed under
It
him.
is. That's exactly how they got signed. Yeah.
Yeah, because they did. Wait, did they start off on Motown, or were they under his label, or were they under both labels? How did that work?
They were working with him at that point.
Okay.
So yeah,
'Cause I
you're
know,
right.
yeah, and there's actually a cameo by them in the New Edition film too. If
There
you guys
was
haven't
no
seen
Big
that,
Ten yet, but they were working with him.
okay, and they kind of separated by the second album, I think, because he wasn't really with them at that point. I
I
don't
think it
think.
was I think it was somewhat during the run of the first record. Things started to go south.
Oh, they had a falling up, they had a falling
Yeah,
off.
they
Or
had a
they kind of.
falling out with him. Yeah, it was over
Oh,
money.
oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does. It really
Yeah,
does. He should have known better. He knew how it felt. He should have
yeah.
known.
Oh, he did that to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't. I forget where it is. It's on YouTube. There's an interview where they talked about it.
Okay.
It
But
didn't. It didn't go well.
at least it wasn't like TLC Pebbles bad. At least.
You know what it was? It was Questlove Supreme. That's what it was. I remember now. It
Okay.
was on Pandora.
Okay.
But they did a two-parter with Boys to Men, and they talked to them about all kinds of things. And you know, Quest doesn't pull punches.
Aren't they
So
on pretty good terms now though? Because I remember seeing a VH1 special on Boyz II Men like way back in like 2003, and Michael Bivins did talk about them. He spoke highly of them, so I hope they're on good terms now.
I hope so too. They may be, but I
Yeah.
know initially things went sideways for sure.
Okay. But yeah, I thought their rendition of "Can You Send the Rain" was pretty good. Like you said, nothing's gonna top the original because that was at the height of the New Jack Swing, Jesse Jam,
Nothing
Terry Lewis.
and
Yeah,
nothing can because there's no Ralph Tresvant.
yeah. Because that Boyz II Men, they didn't have anybody that can hit that pitch like him. I mean, it was Sean and Wanye were the main singers, and they weren't really high enough to reach that type of note.
It wasn't even just that. There's like this boy, to me anyway. There's just this
Mhm.
boyishness,
The Ralphs.
yeah, to the way Ralph's
Yeah.
even now. Like he hasn't really lost it. There's a little more depth to it, but it's pretty much still there. But there's
Yeah,
just nobody that has that tone.
as a matter of fact, a lot of them do still sound kind of boyish. Like when you hear, like I remember Bell Bell DeVoe did a song with SWV, and they kind of sounded the same to me too.
Yeah, Ricky Bell's voice hasn't really changed much at all. Coco's hasn't much. It's a little deeper, but not much.
I still, for the life of me, I don't understand how certain people, like we talked about this, we joked about this, people like Joe Levert, when they were like 19, sounded like they were like 35, 40. And then you got people like Chris Brown who are like 31, 32 now. They still sound like they're 18. I don't get that.
Or
It
like
makes no
a
sense.
or like Slim from 112.
Yeah. Like how did like I don't get that. Like how are you like 45, 46, and you still sound like you're 18? I don't get that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you hear like Gerald Levert or Johnny Gill, these sounded like some grown men at like what, 18 years old. Like grown, not just like, oh, he's legal, he can drink now. I'm talking about like grown, like they have kids of their own and they done been through it, you know what I mean? Type of thing. Like it's like that's incredible, man. To
Yeah,
have that type of voice.
because I think Johnny Gill was signed to Cotillion when he was 17, I think.
Because he was doing stuff with Stacey Lattimore and he sounded pretty, maybe at the beginning he still sounded a little boyish, but by his second album, he sounded he
I mean,
sounded
by the second, because the second record had Half Crazy on it,
yeah,
and that just sounds like a 40-year-old man. Like
exactly.
already. Can't
And he
wait
was
till
a
tomorrow sounds like a grown man.
right. And by the time he got the new edition, he was only what, 22, 21, 22,
He was a
maybe?
child, yeah.
It's crazy.
Still
It's,
sucking Similac with that voice. Like,
yeah, crazy.
yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, go ahead though.
No, 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 no. You're fine. Um, yeah, that's interesting. You've blown apart my world with that "Can You Stand the Rain" crack. I can't deal with you anymore. That's just a bit too much. Let's see. What else do I have? Oh yes. So, um, Steely Dan, Asia, one of the greatest records ever made, sonically and musically. Um,
Steely Dan.
yes, Steely Dan and whatever. Um, but yeah, that album just kind of has banger after banger on it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the greatest songs on the album is Black Cow,
Mm-hmm.
which is not about drugs. It's notable because most of their songs probably were about drugs and sex. But this one wasn't. It was literally just about a drink. The Black Cow is basically the equivalent of like an ice cream float.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's what the song was about, although there are allusions to bookies and things like that in the lyrics. But
Yeah.
um, so whoever this person is who's drinking the Black Cow is having kind of a rough time. But anyway, um, never mind. But at any rate, that song has always been a banger, always and forever. Um, and I've heard other people make attempts at it, and they always simplify the chords because
Okay.
Steely Dan songs are notoriously difficult to play um, because they use very strange chords. They use, for those of you who are familiar with this kind of thing, they're really good with using slash chords
Mm-hmm.
and just stuff that's impossible to play. They'll put things in weird keys. Donald Fagen's voice is deceptively higher than you think.
Mm-hmm.
So the tunes are just difficult to sing. They're difficult to play. You kind of have to know what you're doing to go near them. Um, I remember um, this was during the same download of the Zoe albums. I could stay on Zoe all night, really. But these are just the ones that stuck out. I heard his version of it, and it's probably the one that's the least different, but what he changed about it needed changing. He added the Dilla thing, um, but the drums hit even harder than Steely Dan's version.
Really?
It comes off feeling much more like an R&B track. So, Fonte sings the lead on it. Cy Smith is, if you've heard of her, she's ridiculous. She's doing all the background. She did the female lead on the Soul Food TV series theme with Hal
Okay.
Green.
Yeah,
That
I
was
remember that. That's a good show.
Yeah, it was a good show, and her voice is ridiculous. So she
Yeah.
does all the backgrounds on it, and they're just so she's all like the female backgrounds that you
What,
hear.
and what was her name again?
Cy Smith, Symith, Cy Smith.
Okay, I have to look her up because I did like that version of that, like that song intro.
Oh, it's crazy. She's got a bunch of just ridiculously good songs out there. I follow her
I
on Twitter, and she's funny on Twitter too.
I think by the second season they had cut Al Green's part out of there. I think, and it was just her, I believe.
I think they did too. I think you're
Yeah.
right. or
Yeah.
just like severely shortened it. But
Yeah.
dude, this version of Black Cow just cranks. It's so good. Like, and the vocal arrangement is just different enough to kind of make it its own thing.
Hmm.
Um, Zoe's playing is ridiculous. He does not run away from that Victor Feldman Rhodes part at all.
Okay.
And frankly, outdoes Victor Feldman because he's just that good. Um, yeah, yeah, y'all need to hear it. It's very, for me, like if I'm gonna listen to that song, I'm going to the Zoe version 9 times.
Okay.
It's that good. Um,
I'm about to hear that. Yeah. Listen
yeah,
to that.
you need it. And he didn't run away from any of the chord changes. They're all there. He doesn't simplify any of them. Just Zoe is ridiculously talented. End of story. Like, oh
Okay.
my gosh. I'll send you the link for it.
All right.
Next.
All right.
'Cause I know you got more.
So one of the greatest songwriters of any era, Smokey Robinson, one of the geniuses behind Motown, did a song in the late '70s called "Cruising." Really, really good. What's that
Where
look for?
where are we going? Because there's a cover I'm thinking of, and please don't go to this cover.
Oh, well, you might. I don't know. So D'Angelo,
Oh, okay, 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 okay,
yeah,
okay. We're good. We're
D'Angelo
good.
did a yeah, D'Angelo did a cover it. I want to say in '95, his very first album, one of the greatest debut albums of all time, by the way.
He said
Another,
debut. I love it. He said debut. I'm
yeah,
dead.
another another guy that sounded far more grown than he really was. You know, he was what,
True.
20 when he released that, which is mind blowing how great that album was and how great his voice was already.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, "Cruising" by D'Angelo, it blows Smokey Robinson's version out the water.
I agree.
blows it blows it out the water, and that's saying something because Smokey is Smokey. That's he's before Babyface, he was regarded as by pretty much everybody as the greatest R&B songwriter of all time, or just one of the greatest songwriters in general. Period.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, D'Angelo's version of it didn't vary too far from the original. I mean, there were some differences. I want to say in some of the instruments that were played or some of the melodies, whatever. But for the most part, it stayed true to the original. But yeah, D'Angelo's voice is
Had a whole other groove too. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
the tempo's the same, but it had
yeah,
this other neo soul groove to it.
right,
It's
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah, D'Angelo, man, he's basically like the godfather of neo soul. Basically, I mean, I know,
Yeah.
I forgot, I can't think of her name. She came before him. Was
Erica
it?
Badu,
No, not her.
she
What's the
was
son?
before him.
No, she was after. She did one in.
Was
Yeah,
she
she was
after?
after. Yeah, her album was '97. His was '95. But there was somebody that came. What's
Okay.
the name of that song? Outside the front door. What's the name of that
Oh,
song?
Michelle and my babysitter, Michelle and
Yeah, yeah,
Ocello.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She was before D'Angelo.
She was,
She
yeah, she
she did,
definitely was.
she doesn't really get the credit she deserves because she kind of fostered neo soul before he hit the scene. But he was the one that kind of popularized it. And then
Well,
you had
it didn't
Max.
have a name when she was there.
Right, right,
It was just kind of, they just called it R&B or Michelle and Ocello music
right.
because it was
And then
outside your door and it was if that's your boyfriend he wasn't last night and
yeah, she was like the more soulful version of Tracy Chapman. That's how I kind of described it when I first heard it.
way more soulful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's kind of who she, I guess kind of resembled, I guess, or reminded me of. I don't know if that's an accurate comparison or not, but
No, I
anyway.
get it. I get why you would say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then so D'Angelo came along, and then after that, just the floodgates opened up. Maxwell, Erica Badu, Jill Scott, who's who, everybody hit but yeah, so yeah, Cruising, D'Angelo's version, he crushed it. Crushed
My
it.
God.
And it's even more impressive. Like I said, he was only 20 years old when he did this. 20 or
Yes.
21. Yeah. So
Man, the
yeah.
harmonies are a little different too, which I really liked.
Hmm.
He put kind of a different spin on the harmonies. They weren't so because the harmonies in Smokies are pretty pop, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that
Yeah.
that's what they are. The
Well,
harmonies are
Motown. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just very Motown pop. But for
Yeah.
D'Angelo, those harmonies are straight R&B. Like
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't get very much soulful. It doesn't get more soulful than that. What he did with Cruising.
no, it doesn't. I agree with you. Like that
Yeah.
version is insanely good.
Yeah.
It's
What
so
version? What version were you thinking I was gonna say?
yeah. I was about to go there. You said cruising, and my brain went somewhere it shouldn't have. It went to the Huey Lewis Gwyneth Paltrow version.
When the Paltrow.
It's terrible. It's
You know
off.
me. You know me better than that. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow and Huey Lewis. Huey
I didn't
Lewis
know.
is the Huey Lewis part's fine because he could sing,
I didn't know Gwyneth Paltrow can sing or tried to sing.
and you still don't.
Yeah.
She can't. She's very vanilla, like hopelessly vanilla. If it helps you, like he's down a third from her in the
Hmm.
chorus, and he's the lead vocal.
Why would she do that?
Does
Why
that
would she
answer your
try that?
question? It was
Why
done
would
for
she?
it was done for a movie
Why
that
would
they
she attempt?
I
Gwyneth Paltrow?
both of them, yeah, they were both in a movie together, and it was done for that movie.
Why?
And the housewives loved it. Like it so got over basically. Yeah, it got over with the housewives.
What the? What universe am I in? Gwyneth Paltrow tried to sing a Smokey Robinson song.
It's not that she couldn't sing. It's just that it was so bland. That was the problem. She didn't give anything to it.
Right.
He did. I mean, R&B is natural to Huey Lewis. So it
Yeah.
kind of worked for him, but for her it didn't at all, and it just was weird. So when you said it, because I'm apparently something is deeply wrong with me and I need Jesus, instead of thinking of D'Angelo's version first, my
Yeah.
brain went to that nonsense.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, no, please, no, don't you dare say that.
Oh my goodness, man.
I totally forgot that, man, don't get old. I keep telling you, guys,
Yeah.
don't get old.
Your face was like, don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't do it.
Oh gosh, it's bad. It's so bad. Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you to look it up on YouTube. Don't do it to yourself.
Yeah,
It's not.
I don't think I am. Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, nah. Okay,
Oh boy.
so I have another.
Okay.
Um, I have heard many different covers of this tune,
Hmm.
and most of them are absolutely terrible, or even if they sound good on the surface, they don't feel like anything. Um, but every once in a while, I guess even songs like this can get covered properly. The song I'm talking about is my very favorite song by anyone at any time. Someday We'll All Be Free by Donny Hathaway.
Okay.
His version is definitive. Um, this version is not better than it. Not quite.
Yeah.
But it is really really good, and I think it bears mentioning. Um, there's a six-man a cappella group that pretty much took the world by storm in the late 80s.
Okay. Take
Nobody had,
six.
yeah, Take Six,
Yeah.
exactly. Nobody had ever heard anything like that before because nothing existed like that before. And their influences were not immediately apparent. Um, but they just kind of wrecked everybody for a while and showed us what a cappella could actually be and how substantial it could be and how great the
Mm.
arrangements could be for it, etc., etc. So many years later, and a couple of personnel changes, and we get to the album called Beautiful World, which was produced by Marcus Miller.
Hmm.
He's a genius bass player and producer, worked with Luther Vandross forever, has done plenty of sessions on his own too, um, and just kind of like the go-to session bassist. Anyway, on this record, they did a version of Someday We'll All Be Free with Layla Hathaway,
I never heard that before.
delivering the second verse to it.
What year was this?
19, I think 1996, I think.
That kind of makes sense because I remember at that time I think Take Six they were collaborating with like secular artists. Like I remember they did a song with Queen Latifah and there were some other people that they
Yeah,
that collaborated
that
with.
was Join the Band. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember. Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
yeah, with the rap in it. Yeah, I've got that on my phone.
Okay.
I absolutely love Take Six.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this version I was fully expecting to not like it because y'all not Donny Hathaway, but it's it takes liberties with it, and it employs key changes that don't exist in the original. Um, it's not as painful to listen to. I have a tough time listening to Donnie's without getting emotional,
Yeah.
because it's just such a deep thing. Their version is not like that. It kind of, it's more, most people have accepted, even though it's not really true, most people have accepted a revisionist meaning for that song, that it is, um, that it's about the African American struggle.
And you know what? Aretha Franklin did a version on the Malcolm X soundtrack in the early '90s. It kind of takes that civil rights spin to it.
Yeah, and a lot of them
Yeah,
do, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
yeah,
that's, you know, I
yeah.
mean, the beauty of songs is that they mean whatever you want them to mean.
Right,
So
right.
if you find your own meaning in it, then by all means, far be it from me or anyone else to
Hmm.
tell you what a song should mean. But the song was written because of Donny. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It was written for him by the lyricist. But at any rate, and they kind of so as a result of that anyway, their version feels much more. It feels more exuberant, more like a call to action.
Yeah.
Um, and it turns out that Mark Kibble and Layla Hathaway sing like they were made to sing with each other. Their timbres and their tones are so similar, and just listening to her up a third from him is, it turns out it's just absolute paradise. I would love an album with just the two of them. I would buy it on sight. It's just incredible. It's a whole other thing. The harmonies are of course ridiculous. Um, it's got the form is different. It doesn't follow Donny's form particularly. Neither should it. It's just kind of this whole other thing. And if you haven't heard it, you need to hear it. It's really really good. I've heard some disastrous versions of that tune. That is not one of them.
Take Six, they're good for taking for covering other songs. Like biggest part of me was a really
Am-
good one that they did.
Ambrosia, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was I didn't know that until years later either. 'Cause I
really.
remember. Well, yeah, because I remember the Take Six version. I was like 10, and that was that was even on secular radio. I think at the time too. I heard it, and I didn't hear the Ambrosia version until like 8 years later. Until like I said, because when I was 10, I wasn't listening to music from. I wasn't listening to what would you even consider that adult contemporary? The the original
Um,
version.
oh, it's pop. It's pop, like pop
Yeah,
R&B, I guess.
I mean when I was 10, all I knew was R&B and hip hop. That's pretty much all I knew. So
Hmm.
yeah.
You were 10. I can't with you. That was you didn't have to do that. That was unnecessary. That was unnecessary roughness right there. That was
Yeah.
cold-hearted because I was 21. Um, why are you laughing?
Oh
Um,
man, that's funny.
I heard that song on the radio, and I was
Mhm.
working at Champs at the time, Champs Sports,
Okay.
at the Tyson's Corner Center Mall, and I heard it on the way into work. It was like 10 o'clock when I got to work because I had to open the store, and my manager was there. Her name was Jackie. She's
Hmm.
very very cool. She's a really really cool person. And but nobody was in the store at this point, and I'm like, I need to ask you a huge favor. And she goes, what? And I said, I heard this amazing song on the radio, and I have to get it. Like,
Hmm.
and she said, I know you well enough. It's fine. Just hurry back. And she gave me 5 minutes. And so I ran to the wall. You remember the wall, don't you? The wall.
Hmm.
I go up the escalator. It was fairly close, and I go up the escalator into the wall. And the Take Six CD had come out that morning. It was a Friday.
Okay.
It had just come out, and I was the first one to grab it, and of course I
Nice.
grabbed it immediately and bought it, and came downstairs, and I walk in the door with this bag, and she goes, "What did you buy?" And she was older than me by about a decade, and I pulled it out of the bag, and she was very much into like Melissa Etheridge and stuff like that, you know,
Okay.
and that was just her thing, and I pulled it out of the bag and I show it to her, and she's like, "You want to listen to it, don't you?" And I said, "You have no idea, but I can wait until my shift is over." And she said, "You don't have to. Here, give it to me." And I put it in her hand, and she cracked it open and put it in the CD player that was in the store.
Oh,
And
so just playing over the stereo.
she just let it play. She wasn't supposed to do this for me, but she let it play because it's
Uh,
illegal, actually, without a
what is
performance
it?
license.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's actually not legal to do it. And she knew that it wasn't. And we had these pre-programmed tapes that were supposed to play in the store.
Yeah.
That had bad songs that were never hits. But she gave me a break this morning, and so for the next couple of hours, we were listening to it. She's like, "I kind of like this. This is pretty good, you know," which is far. That's far for Jackie Cooper to travel.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I remember hearing that song, and I just had to have it. There was something about that Brian McKnight production because he produced it. Surely you can tell.
Yeah, his brother. Yeah.
Is dripping in Brian McKnight. The whole thing is. The guitar playing and the whole thing, and I loved the at the end.
Yeah,
I love that little George Benson vocalese thing that they did at the end with the synthesizer descending.
Yeah,
like I feel you on that one.
Do you remember Taking It to the Streets? They did a cover of that too.
Take Six did, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's on the Beautiful World album. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They did a lot of really good covers. They did a lot of really good stuff.
They did, and it totally works. And you don't lose 2 for 1, and you 3 for 1, and you don't lose any of the urgency of the original song.
Right.
None of it.
Exactly.
It's all there. In fact, it may be even more present on that version than it is on the Doobie Brothers recording because it's just that much more exuberant because it's just voices.
Yeah.
With David Sanborn on sax and then Marcus Miller playing bass.
Yeah.
It's just Oh, that's the goodest. It's so God. I had to do it once.
Oh man,
can't spell.
Yeah.
Okay, so I took one. You got anything else?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so Denise Williams did this song called "Silly" in the early '80s. One of my mom's all-time favorite songs. My mom loves the song. My mom even bought like her gospel albums that she did like in the mid '90s. She bought all that stuff. My mom was
such an interesting voice.
Yeah, my mom was a huge fan. And I feel validated in saying this too because my mom liked the cover version. It's kind of a cover version. It's more like she kind of sampled most of the songs, so it feels like a cover, but it's not quite. Monica did a version in 2010 called "Everything to Me." She knocked it out the park.
Yes.
Even performed the song with Denise Williams at the BET Music Awards.
The changes are just gosh. Because I heard that late. I didn't get it right on time like you did. And I went, my God. Because I hadn't been paying attention to Monica like that for a while.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can really call it a cover because she didn't really. Yeah, because she sampled. She sampled like a particular like the chorus of the song or what was it? What part of the song did she sample?
Maybe the verse to some extent. It's kind of a whole new song though.
It is, but you can tell what song it's from though.
Yeah, I mean
it's very obvious. Yeah, she just didn't do the "Silly of Me" part. Like she didn't do that part.
No, I hear it.
Yeah, but she did pretty much everything else, and really, Monica's voice was suited very well for that. Whoever produced it did a very good job. Monica's she's always had a really good voice, and and the fact that Denise did performed the song with her, it was okay. Denise pretty much certified Monica, validated her. I
gotta look on YouTube for that, for the two of them together, because that would be fire.
Yeah, I think that was the same year that Prince got the Lifetime Achievement Award. Actually, I think that was the same.
The heck award. Was I that this is not on the tip of my tongue? What's the matter with me?
I have no idea, but yeah, that was the. I have no idea, but Monica, she did her thing, man. She really did her thing on that track.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I hadn't been keeping track of Monica like that, and then I heard that. I think I just saw it on YouTube and just thought I'd take a shot at it. I was like, my gosh.
It was all over Quiet Storm Radio in 2010. It was all over.
I wasn't listening to radio at that point.
Oh, okay.
No, I had almost completely walked away from radio, and I was just getting stuff from YouTube and.
Yeah.
Because that's just where it was going next.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have one more.
Okay.
Unless you make me think of something else.
All right.
Because you probably will. Do you remember She's a Bad Mamma Jamma?
Yeah. Carl Carlton.
I'm not talking about that song.
No.
Props for knowing the artist name. Nobody knows the artist name anymore.
I thought it was Stevie when I was a kid, so yeah.
Yeah, it sounded similar.
Yeah.
But so he did a cover of Everlasting Love.
I got that on my iPod. Yep.
I have it. Yeah, it lives in my phone here too.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Took the original, gave it groove. His voice was great. He could, because he was doing what made him so cool is that he was doing runs, and nobody back then was doing runs like that. Now they're just commonplace. Everybody does them. But back then, people were singing fairly straight. But he wasn't afraid to do runs and be complicated. And he was. Like during the course of that tune in Mamma Jamma, he was just fearless.
It's
But
kind of it's kind of amazing that he never really broke out. It was that once because he had been around a long time prior to that one song, Bad Bad Majama, but he just never really could break through
yeah,
before or afterwards.
he needed the tunes. He just didn't
Yeah.
quite have the tunes together, and there was some shaky management stuff going on too behind the
Who what label was he on?
20th Century, I think.
Okay, I don't really, okay.
I think he was on 20th Century Records back then.
Yeah, because he had a voice, man.
He did. He really, and he still does. Like he still, you can look for, because he does the nostalgia circuit, like a lot of them do at this point. But if you,
Okay.
pre-COVID, of course, but if you
Yeah.
look on YouTube, you can find him doing it. His voice is a little bit deeper, but it's all there.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost anything. Dude has a great voice and always did. Very underrated singer
Okay.
and very underrated cut on that song. And there have been
Yeah.
other covers of it. Uh, Rex Smith and Rachel Sweet did a duet version of it. Why I remember this, I don't know, but it was, I think it was like 1981 or something like that. And they added lyrics to it, and it's fine, I guess, but it's
Mm-hmm.
done in a very pop version, as you would expect from Rex Smith.
Yeah.
Um, Gloria Estefan did a version of it later that's very electronic, and it's fine, I guess. But Carl's is, for me, is definitive.
Yeah. I've always liked his voice.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. That's the definitive version of that tune for me.
Yeah.
What else you got?
All right.
I know you're not done.
This isn't quite as good as the original, but it's hard to knock her for trying because this is one of the greatest voices of all time. So Whitney Houston did a cover of "I'm Every Woman" on the Bodyguard soundtrack. You've heard it? You've heard it before, haven't you?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and Shaka Khan's version is certified. That's greatness. But Whitney's version was pretty good too. It was very up tempo. It felt 90s. But
I'm
and then
about
I
to disagree with you, I think. Go ahead.
and then I love Whitney shout out to Shaka Khan at the end. She even says her name a couple times at the very
Yeah.
end. I just love this song. It just felt like so much fun. It felt like Whitney had so much fun recording it and just paying. It wasn't her trying to steal her song. It was her paying tribute, and she was having a blast doing it. And this Whitney Houston, man. Like, how do you knock Whitney for doing a cover? I mean, it's Whitney Houston. I mean, that
Okay,
was that was peak Whitney Houston.
it
Peak
was.
Whitney. Yeah,
To
could do
me,
no wrong.
to me, her version destroys Shaka's. Destroy, dead,
Woo!
kill, dead in the water. Don't need to hear the other one again. Yeah,
Woo!
I said it. Come
Yeah,
for me. I
yeah, Shaka can sing too, man. Shaka was
yeah.
nice with it.
Not about that. I promise. Like
Right.
I'm not measuring one vocal against the other. It's not
Yeah.
that. It's just Whitney hit Cole and Clavillis at
Hmm.
the top of their game when they were as white hot as they were ever going to get.
Yeah.
They collided with each other
Hmm.
and created just absolute genius.
I love the beginning too, when it's just her singing, but
When
we'll
it's
have it.
the
Yeah.
rubato part, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
rubato, but yeah.
Yeah. Man, Whitney was such a show off. Such a show off.
But it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I know. I know.
later when her voice was beginning to betray her, it did feel like showing off. But still at this point, it
Yeah.
felt intimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whitney was. Ooh, man. Peak Whitney was a force of nature, man. Unlike pretty much anything we've ever seen before. Like
And
Whitney was
she was at her peak for such a long time.
right. Even when she did the second album, which people didn't like, she still sold like what? She went diamond. Like she just couldn't do no wrong. She couldn't fail at this particular time.
No, she couldn't. And I mean, I still, we've said this before, but I still think her greatest song is You Give Good Love. I don't think she ever did better than that.
Yeah, she didn't. She didn't. She's come close, but yeah, that one was it though.
It's
Yeah, and
either it's either that for me or All at Once.
I liked the song she did on Waiting to Exhale, Shoop.
Yeah,
Uh I
for
love
different
that, man.
reasons, but yeah.
I love that, man. Whitney was man. Like I said, just a complete destroyed Cece on the duet they did together. Completely killed her. And
But Cece was still so good on it. I don't think Cece disappeared, but I do think Whitney was better. I
yeah,
agree.
Whitney, man, yeah. And that's like I said, who man
And Shantae in the background, Shantae Moore was singing backgrounds on it.
was she?
Yeah,
You know, my mom went to modeling school with her back in the day.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was back in I guess the early '80s, I guess, because Shantae was a couple years younger than my mom. This is when they were growing up in San Diego. Yeah, because
Really?
my mom used to model part time, just for fun. But yeah, she did that. It was funny because I remember when I was like 6, I went to one of my mom's modeling shows, and her and 3 other people did like a rendition of In Vogue. And so for like a good year, I thought my mom was part of In Vogue. I don't know why. You know how kids are. I don't know. That was like, hey, my mom was a part of In Vogue. I was telling people this in elementary school.
That's awesome.
When you're a kid, you don't know any better. I wasn't even lying. I just thought my mom was really a part of In Vogue. I just really thought that. I thought she was really performing with them.
Oh, that's
So
hilarious.
yeah,
That's delicious. I love it.
yeah. I think it was Hold On, and I was like, yeah, my mom was a part of In Vogue. Yeah, like I didn't know
Wow.
no, I didn't know no better.
Wow.
You know how when you're a kid you think certain stuff just because
Who
I don't
did you
know.
let me ask you this. Did you have her confused with somebody in the group?
Not really,
Or
because
did you think she was like Dawn? Or
I don't know who I thought she was, but I just thought she was a part of In Vogue though. I don't know.
no, not this time.
Yeah, I mean I was like, hey, look good enough to me,
Oh,
look
that's
mental to me.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so
So
cool that your mom went to modeling school with Shantae
y-
Moore, though.
yeah, my mom said she tried to reach out to her recently, but Shantae, she's whatever.
She was like, I had such a crush on Shantae Moore. I can't tell you.
Yeah,
Just she dropped Love's Taken Over,
yeah,
and I
my
was
mom's
hers.
yeah.
Like,
My mom said she was very arrogant though. She was very full of herself, which I believe. I mean,
was she? Oh,
yeah.
don't tell me. That was terrible. I don't
I
want
mean,
to.
I mean, that was probably. I mean, she was probably what 16, 17 at the time. So when you're doing it like that, I can see that she might not be that way now, obviously, because she's older. So
She
you
was
know,
so. Oh, she was so good though.
yeah,
Those were
yeah.
albums that were just bought on site.
You know who my crush was though? Karen White. That was yeah. Karen White was the one,
Very
man.
similar voices.
Yeah, Karen White was
Let me find
yeah,
out we have the same type.
yeah. Karen White was when I was little, even when I was a little kid, man. I knew at that moment, man. I was like, yeah, yeah, Karen White. She's the one.
Have
I was
you
like,
heard the duet that she did with Michael Jeffries?
yep, yeah,
Not through being with you.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Karen
the
White
cut. That's
was
the cut right there.
yeah.
That whole
Karen,
album is so good.
her and Babyface together were nice with it, man.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, her first 3 albums I liked a lot. She was really good.
I liked her best when she was with Jam and Lewis. They
What
just
what what?
time to get romantic.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
man.
But yeah, I just like Karen White in general though, man. Like
I do
yeah,
too.
even now she looks amazing. She looks amazing.
She does. She still does. Yeah. Shantae
Yeah.
is making interesting choices at this point,
Oh,
but
is she?
Karen still looks gorgeous. Just
Yeah,
gorgeous, gorgeous woman.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I always loved her voice. I love the tone of her voice.
Me too. Me
Always
too.
loved it. Superwoman from her. My
Yeah.
gosh. I'm, you realize what we now have to do, don't you?
Most underrated artist or what? Or
No, because there was a cover of it.
who did a cover of Superwoman? Who messed up my song?
No, they didn't mess it up. It was
Who was
Gladys
this?
Knight,
Okay,
Dionne Warwick,
I'll forgive that. I can't speak ill of Gladys Knight, so
and Patti LaBelle.
okay.
It's every bit as good. It's not better than, but it's
Hmm.
every bit as good because you end up obviously because you've got older women that
Right.
have lived life,
But those are legends, though, so I can't knock that. Those are legends. So
but it just there's just more life lived, and so it feels the song ends up feeling more lived in.
hmm
and it just ends up feeling that much. And Karen did a great version of it. I'm not suggesting that she didn't, but it just feels even more real coming from them,
Yeah.
simply by virtue of the fact that they've lived a little more life.
Yeah, because when Karen did it, she was probably what, all of what, 21
And she was
maybe.
very young and just hadn't lived. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, the way you love me, love saw it, secret rendezvous. Yeah,
Secret Rendezvous. Why you keep adding the S?
I don't know, man. Yeah, romantic. Yeah, like you said, man. She has some.
Man.
Yeah, yeah. The way that I feel about you. Don't get me started on Karen, man. Don't get me started on Karen.
I get you. I get you completely. I totally get it. Just yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you. Just that voice alone. It's like it's the same kind of thing with Shantae for me. Like just
And then
hearing the voices.
don't get me started on the album cover of Ritual of Love. Don't get me started on the album cover.
Yeah, I know the cover. I might have it.
I
Maybe
was I
allegedly,
was
I have it
I
somewhere.
remember I was 6 or 7. I think I was with my dad at the time, and I could not stop staring at this cover. And then my uncle he like nudged my dad. He's like now you can breathe easy. You don't have to worry about your son being gay. My uncle told that to my dad. He was just you know how guys are. And I could not take my eyes off that cover, man. Could not take them. I was like, yeah,
I was that way this will not get too blue. I promise, kids. But with the cover of "A Love Supreme" by Shantae Moore.
yeah,
As
yeah,
soon as I saw that cover, my mom like looked at the cover and she went, "Oh, okay." Oh,
yeah,
she's beautiful, you know. But
yeah,
don't talk about Shantae like that. Like you don't get to
yeah.
say that. But just yeah, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous women, both of them. And the
We need to get back on track.
voices, like,
Yeah,
and she does
that is,
in that intro on "A Love Supreme." Who's
mhm.
gonna love me? Will you?
That'd be
I
a good
know
versus
my
battle.
heart. I had it memorized. I may still have it memorized, but I would listen to that
Yeah,
all the time. That was like my ASMR. Like I could listen to that and just relax. Just the greatest speaking voice ever.
that'd be a good versus battle right there.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, that would work.
That needs to be our next one. Versus battles we'd like to see.
True. Yeah,
That needs to be our next
we've been
one.
talking about it. We haven't done it because I just thought this idea was probably more fertile. But
Yeah, because I get it. But I actually have some versus battles in my mind. I'm just like, yeah, I want to talk about those.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
we have to. That'll be that. That has to be the next one we do.
yeah. Whose turn is it now? I forgot whose
Mine.
turn it
It's
is.
mine. I have another,
Okay, okay.
and you brought it to my brain. So, um, I do not remember the year. You probably will. "Loving You" by Minnie Riperton, or "Loving You" as it was titled. Um,
Who did this?
she was produced by Stevie Wonder. "Loving You." You know that song.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about, but who did the cover of that?
So, I think this was 1991, I believe. Uh, she had put out an album on A&M Records that hadn't done anything. It was produced by Brian Lauren and hadn't done anything. Like she couldn't get arrested because it was just all I've got the record and it is good, but it's wrong. It's a bit the wrong way forward. The songs aren't quite there. Um,
Hmm.
so it's enough for me to enjoy it because I had a giant crush on her. So it didn't matter as much. But but the songs just wouldn't have they didn't there wasn't like a sell through on it,
Okay.
and it needed one badly. So the next, I think it was 2 years later, she left A&M and signed with Motown Records. Thank you, Gerald Busby, and hooked up with narrator Michael Walden, who was Whitney Houston's producer and had
Okay.
done a little bit of work with Mariah Carey. Did I Don't Want to Cry for her,
Okay.
and obviously a bunch of other things since then in a variety of different genres. And he's just kind of an incredible producer. But he worked with her and gave her her first hit called "I Love Your Smile," which
Oh, I've heard.
oh yeah.
Okay, I've heard the version you're talking about. Okay, that's not bad at all. I don't think it's better than the original, but it's definitely pretty. It's pretty good though.
But this the weird thing is that this version was not on the album proper. It was considered a bonus track on the CD
Hmm.
if you got the CD. And shortly after, like, pop radio was all over I Love Your Smile, and they should have been. But R&B radio gave I Love Your Smile a little bit of time, and it was a huge hit on R&B radio. I think it even got to #1, if I'm not mistaken, or if not very close.
Yeah.
But then they also started playing Lovin' You. And I'm like, where is this? Because it wasn't on my cassette, and I was mad. And I thought, well, maybe it's on the soundtrack of a movie or something. And then I just happened to be in Record World one day, because I lived at Record World. And I was sniffing through CDs, and I found her CD, and I hadn't spent the money on the CD that day because I didn't have the money. Hard time. CDs at this point were like $16. And when you're young, you know, and I was 17 at the time.
Yeah.
And so, but I flipped over the CD, and sure enough, it was listed as a bonus track. And I went, well, that does it. I guess I have to buy this. And I went home that day, and I begged my mom for the money. And she gave me half of it.
Oh, so
turns
cool.
out half was all I needed. That was fine.
Okay.
And she wasn't being stingy. It was just like, this is all I have right now.
Oh, okay.
So I went back on the train. I took the arduous Metro Rail train back to Boston Commons to go to the Record World to buy the CD, and I finally got it. And it is completely regrooved. It's very 90s. Her version doesn't quite have the intimacy, I don't think, because you don't get much more intimate than Minnie Riperton. You just don't.
Yeah.
Plus, she wrote the lyrics, so it's going to be more at home with her, and she was older too.
And she has a very unique voice. Very unique voice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. But man, it was still so good. And at the end, I can't reproduce this and wouldn't even try. But at the end, she does extra things at the end, but they don't feel like show-off things. They feel like, I'm so in love with him that, you know, this is just how I feel. Like it all felt very natural and very real. So I give her credit for not being overly showy. Scarier still, the woman is my age now, and she can still do it. She still has no problem up there.
Shanice is, she's always had a good voice. Like it's never gone away. You're right.
What do you mean good? She had a woman had a great voice.
Yeah, she was nice to look at too.
Talking about my wife, be very careful.
I'm still upset though today. I'm just upset that they haven't released a full version of the Eddie Winslow song that they did together. I'm very upset about that. Very mad about that. I can't find it anywhere.
It's not because it isn't a thing.
I have the one on my iPod from the Family Matters show, but that's it.
And it's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
That's where I got it from too.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's every bit as good. I didn't know he could sing like that either. For the record, like,
why didn't he release it? Why didn't he make an album? Him and what's her name? Not Tashina. Yeah, Tashina Arnold. Why didn't they make? They should have released albums, especially by the time they were doing their shows. I mean, they could have really capitalized off of that and did something.
Did Tashina? She didn't release a record? I thought she did.
I don't remember.
I really thought she did. Hold on, because now you're gonna make me look. I thought she did. I really did think that she. My tablet is in front of me.
But yeah, I always loved that Shanice Eddie Winslow duet, and I think it's a shame that they never recorded a full version of that.
Yeah, that would have sold, especially right off the back of that. You
know what I loved about Shanice? Okay, so we talked about Karen and Shantae. They had like a sexiness to them. It was a little exotic, but like Shanice was just she was sexy without being sexy because she had like a warmness about her, like a girl next door vibe to her. And it just I don't know, it just made her look even more attractive, you know.
Oh,
if that makes any sense.
With Shanice, definitely.
Yeah. Because there was nothing about her where she was trying to be. She wasn't really trying to be sexy or show off or anything like that, but she just something about her warmth and her, I don't know. It just made her look even better.
You have not seen the cover of 21 Ways to Grow, have you?
I have. But it's still, you know, like
that. Down the line.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, yeah, I know what you mean, but
no, on Inner Child, you're right. Like,
yeah,
she kept it very down the middle, but to me, like, I agree with you. Like, to me, and I think in general women don't understand this,
Yeah.
but like there is something, there's a real sexiness to leaving things to the imagination.
There is. Yeah.
You don't have to let me imagine.
Yeah.
You don't have to show me everything. And I would suspect that, I mean, most of my guy friends are like that too. Like
Hmm.
we don't really need to see you put it all out there. It
Right.
makes you look cheap and it's easy.
Yeah.
If you leave something to the imagination, then you give me something to chase.
Right.
You keep it real with you. Like that's how I view it anyway. And that's what made Shanice attractive to me.
Right.
And to your point, like even when she became slightly sexualized on the third record, it still wasn't all the way there.
Yeah, exactly. She had
She
like a
didn't
white
get
t
it all the way.
she had a white t-shirt on. It was unbuttoned, but she had her hands crossed and so
Yeah. She didn't
yeah.
give it all. She hinted, boy, did she hint at it.
Yeah.
But she didn't give it all away. So, and I get the feeling I'm wondering how much of that wasn't record label pressure.
But Motown?
Yeah. To like maybe make her be sexier than she might have been otherwise. Because if you remember, all of her collaborators changed too.
Hmm.
She hadn't worked with Babyface up to that point, who's responsible for Turn Down the Lights.
Right.
She certainly hadn't worked with Chris Stokes yet, who was responsible for some of the other nonsense on that record. It's not that great of an album.
Yeah.
Um, when I Say That I Love You is Brian Lauren, so she did work with him a second time. Other than that, all the collaborators were different.
You know what's cool about her too? She's been with Flex since God.
Forever.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, like she has the Hollywood marriage that lasted.
Right. Exactly.
Even if we shall never forgive him for the Michael Jackson movie.
Has anybody ever asked him about that?
I don't know. If they have, I'm not aware of it.
Get him on the Questlove show so they can ask him, hey, yo, like, what were you doing, dog? Like, what was going through your mind, man?
It must have been the money. He must have
Yeah,
really needed that Skrilla. Like,
I know he did hit hard times recently. There was a couple years ago where he was talking about how he had to reach out to somebody, but he said he's
I
got,
remember. Yeah, I saw the same
yeah,
thing you did. Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you have
Hmm.
any others?
Yeah, actually I do. So
Pick another.
The Staples singers did a song, I'll Take You There, early
Oh,
70s.
this could go
Um,
anywhere because so many people did this. Where are you
yeah.
going?
Well, the one version that I'm familiar with that I like is the BB and CC Winans
The
version.
BB gun version, yes. Yeah.
I love that version, and I think was it Mavis or whoever. I think she was on that record too. I think
Davis
at the
was on
end.
it. Yeah, it was on different
So that
nights.
would okay, yeah. I've always loved that version. I remember hearing it as a kid, and I liked it then. And it's one of those songs that it's nostalgic, and it just brings me back to a simpler time in my life when I hear it. Obviously, it sounds very '90s, early '90s. Kind of a gospel. Has very gospel oriented as well. But I thought BB and CC did really well with that song. I don't want to say it's better than the original because I love the original, but it's pretty
Yeah,
close though. It's pretty close.
it is good. Yeah, I agree with you. And the production by Keith Thomas is really good too. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't,
yeah,
it feels, I mean, he kind of split the difference because I don't know if you're how familiar you are with Keith Thomas productions, but they tended to be very of the moment. He had no
okay,
fear of keyboards and drum machines and synclaviers and just
yeah,
um, and he's this little white dude from Nashville. But and you wouldn't expect he looks like he doesn't look too different from me really. You wouldn't expect him to
yeah,
be able to deliver on grooves that hard. But I mean,
yeah,
he could. Like those dude, those BB and CC Winans records, like those had some high priced production
right,
and they grooved. I mean, it's very difficult to get drum machines to groove like that, and he knew how to do it. And the bass lines that he would come
mm-hmm,
up with,
yeah.
like my
And
God,
BB and CC they crossed over pretty regularly, because I remember
yeah,
this was before Kurt Franklin, um, and I remember hearing that song on regular radio when I was like 7 or 8, and I
oh
was on regular
yeah.
radio, you know. The
But you,
other
yeah. Go
mhm.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
And the only other gospel song or Christian song that I remember being on regular radio before that was the Winans and Teddy Riley collaboration. It's time,
Yeah,
and then that one, and then that was, and then before after that, I didn't really hear anything until Kurt Franklin came along. It was those two records. Maybe a Take Six record would get on there every so often, but those are like the only three that I can
yeah.
think
Because
of.
ILOVEU got play for
Yeah,
sure. I remember
right.
that that got a lot of play for a minute. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's also very impressive in itself, that was getting on the radio.
Because
you know.
BB and CC constantly straddled the line. They were constantly getting played with one thing or another, whether it was Addictive Love or
Yeah.
Heaven got played a lot when it came
Yeah,
out.
they did a very good job of like I think one of the issues that a lot of young kids have with like gospel in general is that it sounds too campy, I guess, or corny. Because I felt this way as a kid too until I heard like people like New Wine and Kirk Franklin hit the scene. I was gospel was kind of like, yeah, that's cool to listen to in church, but that's not something I want to listen to when I'm with my friends or riding in my car. And then, Kirk Franklin kind of broke down that wall, and I felt like BB and CC were kind of along those lines too. Their stuff sounded very Quiet Stormish. You know what I mean?
Very.
It fit in.
And then they'd throw love songs in there too. I mean, there was
Right.
on the first record there was "Still in Love with You," which
Yeah.
BB does by himself. Then there was "It's Okay," which is a duet between the two of them. That's very much a love song. Then by the time you
Yeah.
get to relationships, you get um, uh, I think "Don't Let Me Walk This Road Alone." You
Yeah.
get what's the other one? These whatabouts.
Hmm.
You get I'm missing "If Anything Ever Happened to You," which was nominated for a Grammy for R&B song that year.
And they were even on an episode of Martin back when that show was popping. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they were just kind of yeah. It's like they were the ones that were crossing over. That was probably because I mean, if you
Mm.
remember back then, you had let's see, you had Amy Grant crossing over big time on the pop charts. You had Michael
Baby,
W.
baby,
doing
baby,
the same
baby.
thing, "Baby Baby," "Every
Yeah.
Heartbeat."
Yeah.
That's what love is for. Good for me. Why do I remember this? Michael W. Smith had crossed over with "Place in This World" and "I Will Be Here for You" and "For You" and a couple of other things. I think
Yeah.
these were kind of like gospel stalwarts, and they
Yeah.
completely crossed over. But they only did it for a short period of time and
Right.
couldn't keep it going. BB and CC kept it going until they stopped by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would have kept doing it.
Yeah. It's impressive.
It really is, yeah. And it's all to do with the way with the way they were promoted by the record label, but also a lot to do with the production. The production
Hmm.
values were just so cutting edge R&B that
Yeah.
you know it's like you had to pay attention, and we did.
Yeah.
All of us did. I mean, "Addictive Love" I think was, if not a number one R&B record, it was very close.
Yeah. And like I said, I remember there had been a time, I guess when I was like my late teens, I heard Heaven played somewhere, and I immediately recognized it from when I was a kid. It just immediately grabbed me. So I remember this. I
Just the
remember that.
bass line on it.
Yeah.
My God, I mean, because that was, and I miss this very much about music, R&B specifically. Like there, back during that period of time, there had been so much movement in bass lines.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is played very straight nowadays, even if it's done on a keyboard. Most of the time, it is on somebody's Triton or
Hmm.
whatever. But back then, they were using Moog basses or
Hmm.
VX7 basses or something in a synclavier or whatever, and there was just Keith Thomas was so good with bass movement
Yeah.
that just it's like they were just melody lines all by themselves,
Yeah.
and you could get caught up in them and forget about the vocal because it was just, dude. I mean, we talked about Greg Fillinganes, you and I, the other night,
Hmm.
who was just a master at that kind of thing, and David Foster was back when he cared.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that. I'm glad you brought them up, man. Because I actually, man, I stayed up late, like was a couple nights ago, man. I was just downloading all kind of stuff, man. What
Hmm.
kind of yeah,
What'd you get? Tell me what you got.
just a bunch of stuff, man. I was I downloaded some what's that dude? Stanley Clark. I was listening to him heavy. Um,
Okay.
yeah, was it George Duke? Um, just a bunch of people. Yeah, but yeah, I like the a lot of those 80s 90s composers, man. I like a big fan of them.
Yeah, just bass movement is just kind of gone. It's
Yeah,
kind of a, unless you're listening to, I don't know if you're familiar you are with Dirty Loops,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but they have a lot of movement too, but their movement is more like um, yeah, I can't, Victor Wooten kind of movement. It's not
Okay.
quite the same thing. It's not movement as in keyboard based movement.
Yeah.
And people looked down on that pretty heavily during that period of time, but they shouldn't have. I mean, you put Greg Fillinganes on a Moog or David Foster on a Moog, just get out of the way. It's just
Yeah.
both of them could just groove for days. Like, I mean, I showed you that Janet Jackson tune.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, do you even notice Janet Jackson on the song? Like, it's
Actually, I do not.
basically Greg Fillinganes. That's all it is.
And her kind of whispering.
Yeah. It's kind of well before she'd figured the whole thing out. Marlon produced the tune, but do
Yeah.
you care? I'm only listening to Greg Fillinganes.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely sickening. Do you have another cover, by the way?
Let me think. I think I have. This one isn't really like a. It's not really a cover. It's more like a sample. Okay, so Mute did Juicy back in the early '80s. Man, that's some grown folk music right there.
James Mtume, you mean?
Yeah. Okay, but
I was trying.
Juicy.
I just didn't know what you meant. That's all.
Yeah, Juicy. You know the song Juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
then so Biggie did this version in the mid '90s with the hip hop version, which is really
Hmm.
really great too.
It is.
And then Keisha Cole did a version. It wasn't called Juicy because, like I said, it was a sample. It's called oh my goodness, what's the name of the song? Let It Go with Missy Elliott and Little Kim. They sampled that. They sampled that beat heavily. And before this song came out, I was not a big Keisha Cole fan. I wasn't a fan at all. She did a song. I can't even think of the name of it, but she was like singing, and it's almost like she was yodeling, and it completely turned me off.
Oh,
You know,
love.
I couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
Couldn't
I know
stand
the
it.
one.
And it was like, okay, she's from Cali, we from the
Awful.
same state, but I just couldn't. I was like, this ain't it.
The
This is
only
not
thing
it.
that's good about that song is that little bit of a bridge in it with the background vocals.
Yeah, but man, her voice was just so
It's what you hate is that it's auto-tuned.
it, it
It's
didn't
too
it didn't
precise.
it didn't help her. It didn't help her at all.
It no, it did. It helped her too much. It's too precise. That's probably what you don't like because it's just bleeding. It's like,
It's just like yeah. I was just like, what is that? Like, why are you doing this?
yeah, it's not
But
necessary at all. I
but
agree with you.
but have you heard Let It Go on her second album
I have not heard it.
with like Heaven Sent and
I've heard Heaven Sent. I've heard I Should Have Cheated, which Duran from
that
112.
was the first album, but Heaven Sent was in the second album. Heaven
Yeah,
Sent
I've
and
heard that.
I remember that was all the second album, but Let It Go was her lead single. Up tempo. Little Kim had a rap. Missy Elliott's on the track. You can hear her. She's kind of ad libbing and stuff like that. Really good. I thought they did a really good job with the production. I thought they worked the Cole strengths and it worked really well. And of course the Juicy sample. I mean, you can't go wrong with that sample. I love that sample. I love Juicy. It's a great song. Early '80s. It's like a stable of '80s R&B. You can't complete an R&B list from the '80s without that song on there. And yeah, excuse me. But yeah, really good song. You should check it out.
Okay, I'll have to check it out
Yeah,
for sure.
hit 2007, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
I kind of did what you did. I mean, I heard Love and I went, yeah, okay, we're done here.
yeah,
It was just so terrible, and the radio wouldn't stop playing it, and you couldn't
yeah,
avoid it. It was just the worst thing ever, um,
yeah,
as far as I was
yeah,
concerned. You good, bro?
yeah. I don't
Oh,
get it's like my throat, man.
something in your throat. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I have another one.
Okay.
This is the last one I have. We have gone on.
Yeah, I got one more too, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So we got one more piece. So um, this is an artist who is new, relatively new.
Okay.
He is, at the time of this recording, I think he was maybe 23, 24, something like that.
Okay.
Um, he released a record called In My Room, an album called In My Room that was literally done in his room.
Okay.
Played all the instruments, produced everything, sang everything all by himself. Um, and it blew everyone's head off. He had been putting up videos on YouTube up to that point, covers of things like Pure Imagination and Don't You Worry About a Thing by Stevie Wonder, which you're going to get a 2-for-1 on because, yeah, there's that. Um, what else? The theme from the Flintstones, which is just crazy good.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you're going to get 3-for-1. That's it, though, I promise, really. But then he decided that he was going to go on this musical journey and he was going to create this series of 4 albums, volumes 1 through 4 of a concept. and he's released 3 of those now. He's still working on the 4th.
Okay.
The 3rd one is absolutely fire. I have them all because he's ridiculous. His name is Jacob Collier.
Okay, yeah, he's an actor too, I believe.
He did the child acting thing for about 5 seconds. Yes.
That name sounds very familiar. How old would he be now?
I've sent you something of his. That's probably why it sounds familiar. There's something else I'm going to mention.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he's probably, I think he's now like 25, if I'm not mistaken. He's still not very old. I'll look it up.
I think he does acting because he was in The Shy, I think.
No, he hasn't acted since 10. He was Tiny Tim in a production of A Christmas Carol back when he was 10.
Oh, is he from England?
Yes, he's British.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about somebody else then. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are. How dare you? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
He's 26 now.
Yeah. I just looked him up. Yeah, I just looked him up. Thinking of
Yeah.
2 different people.
This dude is ridiculous. But anyway, so he put out these volumes of things, and on this first volume, he decided he was going to tackle a song by Lionel Richie called All Night Long.
Oh man, that's a classic.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with Jacob Collier covers, but if you're not, you should be. He takes tunes. He has absolutely no regard for their form, their keys, their chord structures, nothing. He doesn't care. The only thing he'll keep is the melody, and he changes everything else.
Okay.
All Night Long is already kind of a long tune anyway. On Can't Slow Down, I think it's like 6 minutes and something seconds, and it's great. Like, it's great for what it is. Jacob Collier's version completely destroys it and makes me forget about Lionel's version of it. Lionel's
Really?
version comes off as pedestrian in comparison.
Oh man, there's some fighting words right there, man.
And I meant what I said. Don't sass me again. I'm kidding. But but it's on the first volume. It's called, the album series is called Jesse. That's Djesse. It's on volume 1. It features the Metropole Orchestra.
Okay.
And he basically threw in everything in the kitchen sink on this tune. The tune is 7 minutes and 19 seconds long.
That's longer than the original then.
It is, by a minute and a half, roughly. But it's got the Metropole Orchestra, and it's also got Take 6 on it. So, of course, that got my interest immediately. But it's just, it's all, there's a version of Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, too, by the Police, which is just insane.
Wow.
I'm gonna leave that there.
That's another good one.
Yes, it's so good, and his cover is. but it just it's. I have no words. It's just the goodest. It goes all. It has movements. It descends into complete chaos in certain parts, and in others, it's fairly intimate. It feels like a party, like the party's beginning at first, and then the party completely explodes and everybody in the world is there. And then at the end, it's like the party is winding down and I'm tired because I've partied too much and I'm getting ready to go home. It feels like a party feels.
Okay.
From beginning to end, when you're just walking in the door and you take your coat off, to the very end when you're putting your coat back on and it's been a long night and maybe you've had one too many and now I'm going home.
But man, better than the original? Ooh wee.
We've talked about this before. So Stevie Wonder, not really. Jacob Collier has a history of taking tunes and breaking them to the point that they're no longer recognizable. He did it with this tune. He did it with Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. He also did it with his Michael Jackson cover of PYT, which you have heard because I sent it to you.
Yeah. But I remember that because I was like, "What is this?" Because it was like just a bunch of like instruments going, and I'm like, I can't even keep up with that.
Yeah, I know. I remember I played it for my father maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and all he could. My father's a pianist and has been for 50 something years by now.
Yeah.
He's played with everybody. It's a whole other story. But he sat there and just the whole time was just like this. He was just lost in it because he could understand what Jacob was doing.
Hmm.
And every once in a while, I'd hear him laugh a little, you know. And then by the end of it, he was just like, he was just in love, just completely in love. He's like, negative harmony. He's using negative harmony. And then every once in a while, he goes, he's not in a key, Edward. I know. He's in a half sharp something. He's not in a key. And I did this with him for a good hour, just playing Jacob Collier things to him. And now he's just totally addicted and it's over. It's curtains on Bob Smith now. But it's just, he'll take things and he breaks them. PYT, he broke. He completely, and even he will tell you that now after the fact. He's like, yeah, I broke it. I went too far. But I've played it for other people and it bothers them.
It kind of bothered me. I ain't gonna lie. It did kind of bother me.
What about it bothered you? Tell me.
Because it's Michael. It's PYT. I mean, that's like my favorite Michael tune, or top 2, 3.
See,
it's just, yeah.
I've heard a couple of really good. I'm gonna give you 2 for 1 on this in a different way.
Okay.
I've heard a couple of different fantastic versions of PYT. The first is Jacob Collier.
Okay.
Did he break it? Yes, he broke it. But I'm weird like that. I love it. I love hearing tunes broken. If I want to listen to the original, I can. I have that. Break it for me. Do something else. Go somewhere else with it. And he did. And it just, the runs he did, it's like, even vocally, it's just fire. And like the jungle drums at the beginning, you know, dung, 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 dung. Like, I love that. What a great idea. Like, the man is just genius. Just genius. But there's that cover of it, and then there's also the cover that appeared on Quincy Jones' album, Q Bossa Nostra.
Isn't that Tamina, or who sings that? Is it Tamina or Brandy? I think it's Tamina.
No, you're thinking of Rock With You.
Okay.
Which Brandy covered perfectly.
But then Tamina did a remake with Quincy on one of these. She covered something.
Put a Move on My Heart, which was originally done by Mika Paris.
Okay. Mika Paris, wow.
Remember her?
I've heard that name. Yes, Mika Paris.
Her version is very nice. But
early 90s.
But Tamia wipes the floor with her. It's not even close.
Yeah, Mika Paris. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
She was really, really good, but she and Tamia, come on now.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer Hudson did a cover of You Put a Move on My Heart on Bossa Nostra. And absolutely killed it. Like she did that last note in full voice. Like, what? You're not supposed to be able to do that. Jennifer Hudson is not human.
Yeah.
But okay. So no, but the cover of PYT that's on Q Bossa Nostra is T-Pain. Don't cringe. I know, but it's good. It works. I promise. Really, it does. Robin Thicke sings the verses. It totally works. I don't know who I had a conversation. Okay, so many things. The song is credited to T-Pain. It's credited as a T-Pain production. It was actually produced by Mervyn Warren, who was with Take 6.
Okay.
A long time and broke off. It's actually his production. It isn't T-Pain at all. Production credits are very political, and this is one of those things where...
I mean, Puff Daddy,
Basically, yeah. Puff Daddy has probably never written a song in his life. That's a whole other issue. But this was basically produced by Mervyn Warren. And he told me at the time through Facebook who the other singer was that was doing the ad-libs. I just can't remember her name. She was a Dutch singer.
Okay.
She wasn't given credit for doing it, and it's a shame because she had a great voice. But that version is absolutely fire. It's so much more forceful. It's so much heavier. T-Pain sounds great on it. Yes, it has the effect on it, but it works. It totally works. The first verse is changed. He rewrote the lyric for the first verse to make it make more sense for him. But it works. Like, it's really good. You should hear it. I think you would like it.
Okay.
I don't think you'd be mad at it.
You have to send that to me.
He didn't break the tune like Jacob Collier did.
Yeah.
And I can understand why that has upset people, but I loved it. I don't care. But yeah, just anyway, virtually any Jacob Collier cover that you find of anything, like he took Moon River and broke it too, and totally makes it work. Don't You Worry About a Thing, the Stevie Wonder tune, that's my
Yeah.
go-to. I don't listen to Stevie's anymore. I listen to Jacob's. Yeah, I said it. Um,
Oh boy.
You and I, I don't go to Stevie's You and I anymore. I go to Jacob's because it's all a cappella. It's and he won a Grammy for it too, by the way. If
Man.
here's another rule of thumb: if Jacob Collier is nominated for a Grammy, he wins it. He's never just been nominated; he wins them.
How many does he have?
Now he has 4.
Really? Mm.
It ain't over. He's been nominated for a couple more this year, and he'll win them. There's no doubt in my mind. He's just crazy. But if he does a cover, it's always better than the original, for me anyway. That's just me maybe, but so yeah.
Interesting.
I'm done. That was like 5 and 2 and 1 and 8. I'm done. Jacob Collier covers. They win. They win it. Okay.
Oh man.
You next.
So this last one we're both kind of familiar with. We both talked about it kind of extensively. So the Jackson 5 did a song, back in the day, mid 70s, All I Do Is Think of You. And it wasn't one of the more popular singles. It didn't really, like, it doesn't get played now, very much, even the classic radio stations, and they play a lot of Jackson 5 stuff. But B5 did a version, man. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Wow.
I had to mess with you. I had to get you. Nah, but Troop did a version of it in '90. All I Do Is Think of You, and that has become their song. That is their song now. I didn't hear the Jackson 5 version until I was like 25 years old. Didn't even know it existed. And I've heard a lot of Jackson 5 songs, but that song does, for some reason, I'm not even sure if it got played back then, but it certainly doesn't get any play today. When you hear Jackson 5 radio songs played, that's not one of them that gets played. So a lot of people, my parents probably don't even know that this was a Jackson 5 song. I'm not even, they might not, they might know it, they might not, I don't know, but nobody talks about it. The Troop took it, made it their own thing. It's become a staple of early '90s, R&B, New Jack Swing in that era, and they made it their own song. It's probably the most popular songs.
Oh, it is. Yeah, either
Yeah.
that or Spread My Wings.
Yeah, and that's not even my favorite song from them. I like Mamacita. That's my favorite Troop song. I love that song.
Do you?
Man, I love that song. So catchy. It's so freaking catchy, man.
It is. No, I see.
Oh my goodness, man! Like
what you mean.
my mom told me that when I was a kid, I would sing that. Like, man, yeah, that song is so freaking
As a
catchy,
kid,
man.
you would sing it. I love it.
Yeah, like, it's just so catchy, man. Like even now, man, it's like, yeah, it's like how can you not like that song? How can you not like that song, man? I like it's
I
yeah,
just love that you sang it as a kid. That's great.
yeah. I had no idea what we were talking about. I just
clearly.
Yeah, but but
You got
yeah,
that.
so like. But yeah, Troop, yeah, I actually like the first album better than their second album. But yeah, I think All I Do was on their second album though, correct?
It was.
Yeah.
It Spread
But
My
yeah,
Wings. And, yeah.
yeah, and so that song gets played a lot to this day when you go to like the Quiet Storm stations or
It does.
early '90s stations that played '90s music. That song gets played a lot, and I don't like I said, there's probably a lot of people that grew up in that era that are like in their 50s now that probably didn't even know that was a remake. That's how good the Troop version was.
You want to know the truth? I've never heard the Jackson 5 version of All I Do Is Think of You. I know it exists. I've known it existed.
Yeah.
I've just never heard it.
I have it on my iPod. I've listened to it a couple times. It's not a bad song, but you've heard the Troop version so much that it almost feels like the Jackson 5 are copying Troop. That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine that.
But I mean, it sounds similar. Like I said, if you like you said, when you hear the Jackson 5 version, you'll know the song immediately. But oh, Troop did that. You'll know automatically. But Troop made it their song. Kind of like Etta James did with At Last. It's her song.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine All I Do Is Think of You being done by anybody else.
Exactly. Like I said, yeah.
B5 was just the ultimate insult to my eardrums.
Yeah,
it was
and they're
unnecessary.
And believe it or not, they're still making music today.
Yes,
still making music.
Hopefully, they're better singers now because they certainly didn't have it together at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
That was just bad. And I love I think the best thing about obviously the vocals are really good and All I Do Is Think of You too, the Troop version, but we can't forget Chucky Booker. Like he produced
Oh,
the track.
well, he did. Isn't that didn't Troop kind of? They basically sampled "Turn Away" with "Spread My Wings." It's basically the same
It's
song.
the same song
Yeah,
sideways. It's
yeah.
exactly, but Chucky did it. I mean, Chucky wrote both tunes, of course.
The Troop version sounds kind of weird because there's like it feels like there's like a drum machine that shouldn't be there, or there's some sound in it that shouldn't be there. That kind of
So,
throws.
so the mix on Spread My Wings has always bothered me because it's just bad.
So it's not me then. So it's not just me then.
No, it's not. It's just a terrible mix.
And it's weird because when I hear it, when I see it on TV, like the music video, it sounds good. But then when you hear the song like in your headphones or whatever, something feels off.
Even if I hear it in the car, like there's too much. It's hard to know what's happening, but there's too much space in the vocal, and the vocal can't fill it.
But do you hear like there's like a drum or there's like something in the background that just kind of like that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, the EQ is just weird on the whole thing. It all just Craig Burbage is responsible for the mix, and he should be ashamed of himself because it's not
And the
one of
thing
his
is,
better moments.
if you took away a couple of things, it'd be a really really good song too.
It just needs a good mix. The whole thing's off. The
Yeah,
vocal sounds weird throughout. It's
yeah,
tinny. There's too much reverb on it. It just doesn't work.
right,
You can hear. I mean, I don't mind hearing finger snaps sometimes, but you hear them when Steve is singing the tune. You can hear him snapping, and
yeah.
it just didn't need to be in the tune. There was already enough drums going on it. Maybe that's what you're hearing that's going a little off, is his finger snaps.
That could be it. But I hear like it's a very distinctive sound, and I'm just like, why is that there? If you took that away, the song would be perfect.
Mm. See, I think the issues are a little deeper than I think I know what you're hearing, but I think I just think
Yeah.
it's deeper. It's just
Well, I mean, you're a sound engineer, so you can hear stuff that I probably couldn't hear or recognize. But
ugh.
that's just one of the things that I noticed right away. I'm just like, why is that there? Like, just take away this, and it'd be perfect. It'd be fine. It'd be perfect.
I need to listen to the video version to see if it sounds better. If it does sound better, then I'd much rather listen to that than whatever's happening on that album. Because man,
Have you ever noticed? Okay, so certain songs sound different. Like the video sounds different than the song you hear on the radio. Like I remember, like "Guy," "Let's Chill," sounds
mm,
completely different than the video. The video sounds completely different than the radio version. Completely different.
oh yeah, yeah,
It's
they did.
weird.
They did that a lot then. They don't do it so much now, but they certainly did a lot of it back then, where they'd remix it for radio.
That's kind of annoying. I didn't
Because
like
then you
that.
don't end up with that version. Yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, I like the radio version better than the video version for "Let's Chill."
hmm You see, I
Yeah.
never had a problem with the album version. I thought the album version sounded really good.
Hmm.
And often they would just like cut time because of ad space, so they just end up
Yeah.
cutting up the record anyway. Like I really hate that.
They did that with "Don't Be Cruel." Like there's like a longer version out there, and they
Yeah,
like yeah, and they cut off like right when Bobby Brown's really about to go in. They cut it off.
yeah, they cut the raps out of it
Yeah.
just in order to try to get more ad space. Like they cut
Right.
up anything that was over like 4 minutes. They cut up. Like,
Yeah.
come on. So no, that's a good one. I forgot about All I Do Is Think of You.
Yeah.
That's such a good tune. Such a good tune.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I figured I might as well throw it in there. Maybe kind of criminal if we didn't. It's such a popular song, or was such a popular song.
it
So
was, yeah, and I mean it gave birth to the B5 version. So of course for that they should probably be everlastingly punished actually
yeah.
for that because yeah, my
Yeah.
God.
True, man. Yeah. They were like yeah.
I'm not
They were.
souped. They were so slept on. They were so slept on.
Did you like? Have you heard the song "Parlay" that they did in the late '90s?
Yes, yes, I did. They tried.
Yeah.
It's like they tried to get rough, rugged, and raw. Like that's not who you are. Stop it. Like
But they did do another cut on that same album that was more them. Um, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's a good song though. It's on their late '90s, I think. It's on that same album though.
hmm. I have to because I remember hearing. Yeah, I remember hearing Parlay and going, "Oh, okay, this is what we're doing now." Like
It
y'all
wasn't
can.
it wasn't bad, but they were clearly trying to fit in at that time though.
It was identity crisis, is what it was.
Right.
It's like it was.
Remember? Yeah, Ready for the World went through something similar in the '90s when they
Can
tried
you
to
do
fit
it
in with
like
them.
this? Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
the New Jack Swing thing. They tried to fit in and it didn't quite work. Force MD is just kind of completely just flatline. I don't know what happened to them, but
They went straight New Jack Swing, and that's just not they weren't that to begin with.
yeah, it kind of sucked for a lot of those groups that came in the mid '80s, like right before New Jack Swing, because they just completely got gobbled up and all that, and it was never heard from again.
Yeah, because they'd come to prominence with Tender Love, and
Yeah,
which is great, by the way. But
yeah,
then that's all anybody wanted from them was copies of Tender Love, and it's like that's not really they weren't that's not really who they were.
right.
But nobody wanted to hear what they were. They wanted to hear Tender Love 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, Love at House was good too, though.
Yeah, that's true. That one got over, but that was
Yeah,
kind of a ballad too.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Right. But that did, yeah, I remember in the early 90s that did get over. But they had a bunch of other New Jack Swing stuff.
yeah,
It just, everybody just kind of went, yeah, no thanks.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
a lot of groups didn't survive that New Jack Swing movement from the '80s.
we should talk about that too, like the groups that didn't make it out of there. It's
Yeah, because
almost
that's kind of
like the
it's kind
groups
of
that didn't make it out of the disco era. Like,
yeah, because it's like a very unexamined. What would you even call R&B before the New Jack Swing? Like right before like the 80 between the 84 and 87. What would you call that? Like what was that?
maybe like electro R&B.
Yeah, like because I remember okay, so early '80s because the late '70s kind of bled into the early '80s. You still had bands and things like that, and then like you said, electro kind of took over, and
Yeah, because the Lindrum took over in the DX7 and Moog
yeah,
bass and yeah.
and you don't really hear about that era too much. You don't hear about that often.
Yeah, it's disregarded, but there were a lot of great songs that came out of it.
Right, exactly. Like you had oh shoot, what was the name of that group? The group from Sacramento, Denzel Foster, what's his,
Oh, yeah, Timex Social Club,
Club
Club
Nouveau, you know.
Nouveau.
Yeah, they same thing. They got gobbled up and all that New Jack Swing stuff. They didn't make it.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Of course, that may have had to do with J. King's own neglect. I'm not. I think there may be more to it than that. But there were bunches of them that did. I mean, Kashif made his living with that sound for crying out loud. Like,
yeah.
and then there was oh, I forget who did it. Cheryl Pepsi Riley. Um,
Pepsi Riley,
mhm.
Cheryl Pepsi Riley. Yeah, I remember her.
um, Ooh, you make my love come down. I forget who did that. Remind me. Ooh, you make my love come down.
Oh, Evelyn King.
Thank you. Yeah, Champagne
Yeah,
King, Evelyn
yeah,
Champagne. I
Evelyn
couldn't
King.
think of it.
Who was the other one? What's her name?
She
Um,
said the other one.
nah, forgive me not. Uh,
Patrice Rushen. Yeah.
she didn't make it out that era either.
Well, but she just went into other things though.
Yeah, and I liked her a lot. She was really good. I
I
liked
got
her a whole lot. Yeah, yeah. You don't hear about that. That's like a very unexamined era of R&B that kind of gets kind of like
Angela
neglected or
Bofill,
overlooked. Yeah, I remember her. Who was the other one?
Phyllis
and,
Hyman.
and was yeah her? She committed suicide, right?
She did. Yeah.
Yeah, she had a beautiful voice.
Mm.
But who was the other one? There was another lady. She passed away in the late '90s. She was um, if you want to be with me, you gotta have a job. If you want to be with me, you gotta have a job. What's the name of that? She did In the Rain. I'm gonna send you some of her
Where
stuff.
is my brain? Because that should be enough to tip me off, and it's not.
Because
Damn,
I'm pretty sure you know who
sorry.
she is. She had a nice voice too. She could sing.
It does sound vaguely familiar, but I
she did Padlock. She did she was kind of heavier set, but she had a really beautiful voice.
wonder who that.
I cannot think of her name. She passed away like in '98 or '99, but you know she was moderately successful in the mid '80s, and then New Jack Swing came. She just kind of disappeared.
Um,
Can't think of her name.
Neither can I.
And I have some of her stuff on my iPod too, but I can't think of her name right now though.
Stacey Lattisaw is another one.
Yeah, she quit right around that time, the late '80s, didn't she?
She quit because they wanted to sexualize her, and she wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't really her thing anyway. That wouldn't have worked
No, no, no. She didn't even
because
attempt it.
R&B was going in a completely different direction. I mean, you know, you were going into like you said, Karen White, Shantae Moore, and Paula Abdul was kind of running around at that particular Pebbles. I mean, yeah, that wouldn't have worked for her.
So
Hey,
many
blame Babyface.
pebbles. My gosh.
Hey, that was a Babyface creation.
Never has somebody done so much with so little. Sorry. All
You talking
right.
about baby? Are you talking about Babyface?
No, 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 no. Well, no, yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah,
because the way you mean it, then
yeah.
yes.
Pebbles did very little with so much, basically.
She did everything she was capable of with so much. Yeah.
Yeah, but then completely like tried to screw over TLC.
I was about to say, and then she had this fabulous career in management.
Like, what was it even about? Like, did she like, man,
The
like she
phrase
could
will live forever. This is how you can sell 10 million records and be broke.
like how do you rob somebody like that, man?
Bad deals. Of course, you have to sign them, and they signed them, so it's hard to know
Yeah,
who's even at fault. But she shouldn't have even entertained the notion of doing it, frankly.
yeah.
Like, she should
I
have
mean,
just done right by them to begin with. But
it's kind of. I mean, I get it. You're 18, 19 years old. You live in Atlanta. You live in the hood, and you know you get out and you see these. Oh, you can be famous, and these record companies, man, they jump on people like that, man. They sniff you out and they take advantage of that.
mm,
Yeah,
no, that was back when they could. I mean, the one good thing about the fact that the record business is broken is the
yeah,
fact that you could do so much of it yourself now.
yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
if you've got a YouTube channel and a Twitter handle and a Facebook page,
mm-hmm.
Snapchat if you're young enough.
Say what you want about Soldier Boy, man, but he paved the way. He paved the way.
He did. He did. He's another one who did a lot with a little.
Yeah, there's no chance to rap without Soldier Boy.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually a good parallel. Yeah,
yeah.
and then oh dang, I can't think of his name. Frank Ocean. There it is. Couldn't come up with it.
I remember Frank Ocean.
But Frank Ocean had a deal with Def Jam,
Mm.
and then when he decided he didn't like the terms of the deal, he snuck out of it. He was
Yeah.
smart enough to sneak out of it just barely legally, snuck out of it, and then made a
Mm.
deal directly with Apple Music
Yep.
to sell his next record. Crazy like a fox. It's
Frank
genius.
Frank Frank Ocean wasn't bad. He was decent.
Yeah, I've been thinking about you's cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, the Weeknd kind of took his whole thing.
kind of. Well, but the Weeknd does kind of a more pop version of it. But yeah,
Man, the Weeknd, man, his music is so depressing, man. Like just like when I hear his music, it's like that's kind of music that somebody would kill themselves to. Like he just his music is so dark and just so. I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan of his. What do you think?
I don't get it either. It's very much the like the
It,
German music factory. You know,
it's depressing. I don't know. It's his music is so depressing.
it's like he's writing songs about being hooked on heroin. Like I can't see my
Yeah,
face is about being hooked on heroin.
but
Like
he's so popular though. He has so many hits though. I'm like, I don't get it.
it's because of the beats. It's because the producers that are working with it's Max Martin and Shellback and them, you know the ones. But it's that music factory that knows how to churn out hits and they're following a formula. That's all it
Yeah,
is. It's
because
just
I
that
think
it's still working.
yeah, I think there's only one. There's like maybe two songs of his that I like. I like the one he did with Wiz Khalifa when he first hit the scene. I think back in 2012. I remember. I think, and then there's another one that he did on the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack that he
Mm.
did that was pretty popular. But other than that, though, I'm just not really a fan of his.
No, I'm not either. It's just kind of meh, you know.
Yeah,
I don't
but
hate hearing it, but it's just kind of meh.
yeah, I thought Frank Ocean did it better than he did.
Well, he did, and he did it more R&B too. I mean, Weekend is
Yeah,
just utterly pop.
right.
So they're just kind of apples and doorknobs. But unfortunately, I guess they're treading enough of the same territory
Yeah, exactly.
that Frank Ocean can't exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we have talked and talked and talked, and I'm going to give all of this to you at once because that's how nice a guy I am. You can stop it if you get sick of looking at us. But but yeah, at any rate, so thank you very much for watching. Subscribe. Subscription is always fun. Like the video. You know you liked it. I can see it on your face that you liked it. You were enjoying this entire thing. And even though you're worn out, you liked it and you're glad that you watched it. Don't lie to yourself, okay? You're going to end up in counseling over it. It's never a good thing when you lie to yourself. So down there, the like button is down there. Trust me, it's down there. Just click it. Click subscribe too while you're at it so we can give you more madness like this. We already have another topic planned. We even told you what it was. That's
Yes,
how
sir.
nice we are. We told you what it was, so you know what you have to look forward to. So anyway, enough of my blabbering. This has been Ed, and that over there has been Dre, and this has been vinylalbumcovers.com, and we will catch you next time. Thank you so much for watching.